Hey everyone, and welcome back to a new video. I hope you're okay with just voiceover me today, just because it's a little easier for me at the moment, and I'm going to be popping some gameplay footage just for you to watch if you like having it on in the background. If you don't like it, then that's okay, you can just listen today. I was recently editing a video for Lizzie in which she read an article saying that Colleen Hoover's novel Regretting You is being made into a film, and she read out the cast list and whatever. They're all people I'd never heard of, but of course that meant I had to go and read the book Regretting You for myself and review it for you guys. I've had this downloaded for a while, ever since I saw it make some top 10 worst books ever written list a while back. So I was very intrigued by it, and I can honestly say that I thoroughly regret ever having read this book. It's not great, really, really bad. This book is a little different in that it's even darker than a lot of Colleen Hoover's regular books that are just marketed as romance. And that is really saying something, considering the fact we've seen her in the past romanticize cheating, child grooming, surviving childhood SA, murder, domestic violence, and so much more. This one actually isn't that dark in terms of themes. It does have a lot of cheating going on, and it has so much death in it. It's just, oh god, all the characters die. Everyone dies. This book, Regretting You, follows Morgan, a middle-aged mum, and her daughter Clara, and each chapter flips back and forth between the two perspectives. Morgan got pregnant and married way too young, at like 16, 17, something like that, which is literally every woman in a Colleen Hoover book, to be honest. But apparently this time it's different because she is, and I quote, determined to prevent her daughter from making the same mistakes she did. So I assumed the daughter would end up having a teen pregnancy by the end of the book, and that would be her happy ending or something, but thankfully she doesn't. There is at least one womb left untouched. Thank God. But because this book is very boring and quite dark in places, I thought I'd come up with a way that we could have a little bit of fun with it. And about a year ago, when I reviewed a couple of Colleen Hoover's books in the Slammed series, I came up with a big list of tropes that appear in nearly every single one of Colleen Hoover's books. I was going to make them into bingo cards, but I'm a procrastinator, apparently. I'm completely a procrastinator. And instead I've just got it as a big checklist. So if you want to go, and you can check off with me as we go if you want, but here is the list on screen. These are the ones we're going to be checking off and seeing if they come up in the book, where they come up in the book, chatting about them a little bit, and I thought that would be quite fun. Oh, and also, if you would like to get my Colleen Hoover themed merch, I have this silly little t-shirt available that says, I survived reading Colleen Hoover and all I got was this stupid t-shirt. It's such a silly little basic t-shirt, but I love it, and I always know when I wear it out, if people have a giggle at it, I'm like, okay, we're gonna be good friends, which is fun. So that's available on my merch store if you want to check that out. It's at racheloates.creator/spring.com, and you can get that and my other new merch, which I'll tell you about in a little bit, all available now. It's very exciting stuff. Okay, on with the book. So chapter 1, the very first chapter of the book, follows the mum of the story, Morgan, but back when she was 17. She basically opens by exposition dumping on us and telling us that she's depressed. I don't understand how my body can be full of everything bodies are full of, bones and muscles and blood and organs, yet my chest sometimes feels vacant, as if someone could scream into my mouth and it would echo inside of me. I've been feeling this way for a few weeks now. I was hoping it would pass because I'm beginning to worry about what's causing this emptiness. I have a great boyfriend I've been dating for almost 2 years now. If I don't count Chris's moments of intense teenage immaturity fueled by alcohol, he's everything I want in a boyfriend. Funny, attractive, loves his mother, has goals. I don't see how he could be the cause of this feeling. And then there's Jenny, my little sister, my best friend. But I know she's not the source of my emptiness. She's the primary source of my happiness, even though I know we're complete opposites. She's outgoing, spontaneous, and loud, and has a laugh I'd kill for. I'm quieter than she is, and more often than not, my laughter is forced. It's a running joke between us that we're so different, if we weren't sisters, we would hate each other. She'd find me boring, and I'd find her annoying. But because we're sisters, and only 12 months apart, that poor mother, our differences somehow work. Seriously, she got pregnant like, what, 2.5 months after giving birth? Oh my god, that poor woman. Oh my god, okay. We have our moments of tension, but we never let an argument end without a resolution. And the older we get, the less we argue and the more we hang out. Especially since she's dating Chris's best friend, Jonah. The four of us have spent almost every waking hour together as a group since Chris and Jonah graduated high school last month. My mother could be the source of my recent mood, but that wouldn't make sense. Her absence isn't anything new. In fact, I'm more used to it now than I used to be. She's been inactive in our lives since our father died 5 years ago. I was more bitter about having to parent Jenny back then than I am now. So immediately we have dead parent, death in the first chapter, and a sad backstory already. Get them checked off your bingo cards. Morgan has also had to basically raise her younger sister herself, so I feel like I should have added parentification as another coho trope, as she uses it so often. We've got it here, we've got it in Slammed, they're the ones that immediately come to mind, but I'm sure there's more too. Also, this idea of like Morgan being depressed, it never actually goes anywhere, so I didn't initially have this in my script or anything, but I think there's something like dropped storylines that is like a one to check off. You can check. I checked it off later for another reason, I think, but I think we can check it off here now as well. So to summarize, the two sisters are dating two besties. Morgan mostly stays sober. So does Jonah, her sister's boyfriend. Whereas Chris and Jenny get high a lot and they get drunk a lot. And I'm sure that'll be important at some point since Colleen is so heavy-handed in telling us. Well, I said that in the original script. It is, and it isn't. Basically, it's just meant to be like, ugh, look at them, they're two bad people, they drink alcohol. We're the good ones who are meant to be together because we don't. That's it. Really. Also, to say that Morgan is dating Chris, she has absolutely nothing good to say about him, but plenty of good to say about her sister's boyfriend. So I said in my original script, if this leads to cheating in some way, I will cry. Let's just say I cried. A lot, reading this book. Sometimes I feel like I'm Chris's babysitter too. The only one in this car I don't have to babysit is Jonah, but that's not because he doesn't get drunk or high. He just seems to maintain a level of maturity despite whatever substances might be running through his system. He has one of the most consistent personalities I've ever encountered. He's quiet when he's drunk, quiet when he's high, quiet when he's happy, and somehow even quieter when he's mad. He's been Chris's best friend since they were kids, and they're like the male versions of me and Jenny, but opposite. Chris and Jenny are the life of every party. Jonah and I are the invisible sidekicks. Fine by me, I'd rather blend in with the wallpaper and quietly enjoy people watching than be the one standing on a table in the centre of the room, being the one people are watching. It's just so poorly written. I'm going to call this last bit a bit of a I'm not like the other girls moment and check that one off the list too. Jonah glances at me in the rearview mirror. He holds my stare for a moment and then I nod. He nods too. Without even speaking, we both agreed. We'll stay sober tonight. I don't know how we do it. Communicate without communicating, but it's always been an effortless thing between us. Maybe it's because we're a lot alike, so our minds are in sync a lot of the time. Jenny and Chris don't notice. They don't need to communicate silently with anyone, because anything and everything they need to say rolls off the tip of their tongues, whether it should or not. And I was like, yeah, they're definitely going to cheat, but it'll be excused because they've got this special connection and they're just meant to be. This book is like cheating the novel. Like, it's just everyone cheats on everyone. It's horrific. Just be prepared now. We also learn here that Jonah is, like, maybe 18, more likely 19. He's left school, but he's dating the barely 16-year-old Jenny. So I'm also going to check off on the list adult man dating underage teenager for this too. It might be a bit of a stretch, but this is my game. I'm allowing it. And while we're here, I am calling these switching perspectives a writing gimmick too. So I'm going to check that off. Because it's all like, Morgan the dirty, Morgan the dirty, but we'll get to that in a minute. Chris and Jonah run into a shop, which gives Jenny time to say, or rather do all this. Jenny unbuckles her seatbelt and crawls into the back seat with me. She curls her legs beneath her, facing me. Her eyes are full of mischief when she says, I think I'm going to have sex with Jonah tonight. For the first time in ages, my chest feels full, but not in a good way. It feels like it's being flooded with thick water, maybe even mud. You just turned 16. The same age you were when you had sex with Chris for the first time. Yeah, but we'd been dating longer than 2 months, and I still regret it. It hurt like hell and lasted maybe a minute, and he smelled like tequila. Colleen Hoover really does love to punish her female characters for losing their virginity, doesn't she? It's like, as much as she writes all this smut, she really does like to punish her women for being sexually active and make it so, like, unless you're having sex with someone that you marry and he's going to impregnate you. Well, I mean, even this guy married and impregnated her. But unless... No, I don't know, even then, most of the time, like, it's really bad for the women. Why does Colleen do this? For God's sake. I pause because it sounds like I just insulted my boyfriend's skills. Well, you did. He got better. Jenny laughs, but then falls back against the seat in a sigh. I feel like it's commendable that I've held out 2 months. I want to laugh because 2 months is nothing. I'd rather her wait an entire year or 5. I don't know why I'm so against this. She's right, I was younger than her when I started having sex, and if she's gonna lose her virginity to someone, at least it's to someone I know is a good person. Jonah has never taken advantage of her. In fact, he's known Jenny for an entire year and never made a pass at her until she was 16. Oh, that's creepy and grooming. That is creepy and grooming right there. Waiting until she's legal, that is grooming. God's sake. It was frustrating to her, but it made me respect him. I sigh. You lose your virginity once, Jenny. I don't want this to be a moment while you're drunk in a stranger's house having sex on someone else's bed. Morgan is clearly not actually looking out for her sister here. She's just jealous because she's into Jonah. I will always say I'm not interested in terrible cheating plots, so I have no interest in this. I'm also clearly going to be checking off the trope on the list of I want your first time to be special, or as I prefer to call it, Colleen's obsession with teenage girls' virginity. Fun times. There's an absolutely disgusting scene where Chris comes back and kisses Morgan and literally takes a bit of a half-chewed sweet out of her mouth and chews it himself and eats it. Oh, no, I want to vomit. That's gross. That's not sexy. Please stop. Jonah reluctantly grabs the cash and gets out of the car. Chris kisses me again, this time with tongue. He pulls back pretty quickly, though. What's in your mouth? I crunch down on the Jolly Rancher to break it. Candy. I want some, he says, bringing his mouth back to mine. Jenny groans from the front seat. Stop, I can hear you slurping. Chris pulls back with a grin, but also with a piece of Jolly Rancher in his mouth. He bites down on it while putting on his seatbelt. Oh god, I hate this book so much. Stop it, stop. I am generally not one for banning books in general, but I would really like to really like to ban Colleen Hoover from publishing anything ever again, please, because of scenes like this. And, you know, also her romanticizing abuse and all that unhealthy stuff, but mostly because of scenes like this. This is also when Morgan realizes that she is 12 whole days late for her period, and I genuinely didn't expect to be taken off the pregnancy trope this early in the book, but here we are. There you go. Halfway into the first chapter. You know what I always say, Colleen Hoover has never created a womb she didn't want to fill with a baby. She gets drunk at the party, as teenagers do, but Colleen immediately demonizes this because she always does, because I think she has some issues with alcohol. She demonizes anyone who drinks anything ever. Is also just awful, but like comically so when shown next to Jonah, who we're supposed to be rooting for, I guess. Jonah can apparently read her mind, but Chris says things like, Morgan is my favourite Morgan, and we know this is bad because, well, Colleen's quite subtle about this. So you know when a character is sad, we might see things like, you know, their lip quivers, they hold back tears, their voice cracks. None of that from Colleen. She doesn't bother with quality writing like that because she's smarter than that. She's better than that. Why bother being even a little creative when your writing can just say, wow, that kind of makes me sad. But he's drunk, so I'll excuse his insults right now, even if it's just to avoid an argument. I'm not in the mood. I've got more important things on my mind. Colleen literally does not know how to write anything unless she's shoving the obvious down our throats. It's really frustrating. While we're here, I'm going to check off the telling not showing thing off the list too, because that's what she does for the entire book, and that's very clearly what's happening here. Morgan leaves, Jonah follows her with a soft drink, and Colleen has to remind us that I take a sip and lean my head back. Soda tastes so much better than alcohol anyway. It's crazy. She's all like, I can excuse domestic violence, sexual assault, casual racism, subtle homophobia, child abuse, teen pregnancy, murder and cheating, but I absolutely draw the line at an 18-year-old adult drinking beer. That is disgusting and disgraceful, and you should be ashamed. Priorities, Colleen, come on. Does Colleen not realise that it is, like, literally legal in most of the world and completely normal for an 18-year-old to drink beer? I don't understand the demonization of alcohol in general that is in all of her books. I think it's better to teach people to be responsible with it than to just demonize it altogether. It's wild to me. She excuses so much worse, but alcohol is this like unforgivable sin to her. As soon as he says that, I pull my eyes from his and look down at my drink. I do this because I'm afraid of what's happening right now. My chest is starting to feel full again, but in a good way this time. The emptiness is being replaced with heat and flutters and heartbeats, and I hate it because it feels like I've just pinpointed what has caused me to feel so empty these past few weeks. Jonah. Sometimes when we're alone, he looks at me in a way that makes me feel empty when he looks away. It's a feeling I've never gotten when Chris looks at me. The realization scares me to death. Until lately, it seems I've gone my whole life without experiencing this feeling, but now that I have, it's as if part of me disappears when the feeling disappears. Oh god, the codependency. Ugh, hate it. I cover my face with my hands. Out of all the people in the world to want to be around, it's a crappy realization to know Jonah Sullivan is starting to top that list. There we go. Emotional cheating already. Great. We knew it was going to happen. We hate this book. Morgan worries more about being pregnant because she says, I can't help but be worried. she just tells us everything. It's just laid out for us. You never have to think with Colleen Hoover, do you? but I can't help but be worried. No matter how hard I try. Oh, I tried to put it off until I know for certain. Okay, I can't read. I'm worried for myself, for him, for us, for the child we might be bringing into this world before either of us is ready. We can't afford this. We aren't prepared. I don't even know that Chris is the person I want to spend the rest of my life with. That's definitely something a person should be certain about before they go and create a human together. And yes, this is exactly why sex education and easy access to affordable birth control is essential, but it's also why affordable, legal, easy access to abortion is also important. But what are we betting this character doesn't even consider abortion because Colleen Hoover doesn't like abortion and thinks every woman should be a mother as early as possible, and that that's the best and only good thing to happen to a woman ever. Yeah, she doesn't even consider abortion. It's not even thought of. Chris smiles and a dimple appears in the center of his chin. He has such a great smile. If I am pregnant and we do end up having a child together, I hope it at least has Chris's smile. That's the only positive thing I can think that could come from this situation. This is awful. Stop it. No, just end the pregnancy. It's clear that you don't want it. Neither of you are fit to be parents. Neither of you should be together. Abortion is an option. When this story was taking place, abortion was still legal in America. Like, not like the issues that many states have now. Like, just get an abortion. Chris then drunkenly goes on and on about how he wants his future daughter to be called Clara, which is crazy. Like, that's not something teenagers, especially teenage boys, do, right? I think. Weird. Anyway, at this point, I was like, oh, okay, what if Chris, like, dies when he's a teenager? Because we know the kid ends up actually being called Clara, and it's gonna be so like, see, your dad named you, and now we honor him, and blah, 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 and it'll be so emotional. I was right and wrong, so let's hold off there. He doesn't die as a teenager. I'll just say that. Jenny falls off a table, off page of course, because we wouldn't actually want to see any action happen in front of us, would we? Of course not. What does Colleen think we are? Competent readers? So we've had one chapter, 5% of the book. We've already checked off something like 9 or 10 items on the list. Good job, Colleen. Round of applause. Chapter 2, Clara, 17 years later. This chapter opens so weird, right? Clara is complaining that her car is filthy because of her best friend. I look at my passenger seat and cringe. As usual, there are crumbs of an unknown source caked in the crevices of the leather. I grab my backpack and toss it into the back seat along with an old fast food bag and 2 empty water bowls. I attempt to swipe the crumbs away. I think it might be pieces of banana bread that Lexi was eating last week. Ugh. Or it could be crumbs from the bagel she was eating on our way to school this morning. I have the air conditioner on, but beads of sweat are sliding down my back, being soaked up by my bra. Lexi wears her bra for an entire week before washing it. She says she just douses it in deodorant every morning. To me, wearing a bra twice before washing it is almost as bad as wearing the same pair of underwear 2 days in a row. Too bad I don't apply the same philosophy of cleanliness to my car that I apply to my bras. So the first thing we're learning about these two characters is that they have questionable hygiene. Is this meant to be like, oh, we're not like the other girls, we're actually filthy and smell bad? Like, that's not quirky or cute or relatable. I don't like it. It's icky. It's gross. And she's complaining that, like, oh, Lexi's the messy one. Lexi left all this mess. But no, apparently you're the one who's been leaving crumbs of food in your car for a week. You're gonna get mice. And it'll be your fault, you silly goose. Clara has a crush on some guy called Miller Adams, although she doesn't acknowledge that it's a crush at first. She sees him on the street, it's warm outside, so she goes to give him a lift. Apparently he's been avoiding her for a year for some unknown reason. Obviously it's because he actually really likes her. It is stupid. I don't know if Miller realizes what his attention, or lack thereof, can do to a person. When he looks at you, he does it in such a way that it makes you feel like the most interesting thing he's ever seen. He puts his entire body into the look somehow. He leans forward, his eyebrows drawn together in curiosity. He nods his head. He listens. He laughs. He frowns. His expressions while he listens to people are captivating. Sometimes I watch him from afar as he holds conversations with people, secretly envious they're getting his rapt attention. I've always wondered what a full-on conversation would be like with him. Miller and I have never even had a conversation one-on-one, but there have been times I've caught him glancing at me in the past, and even a simple 1-second gaze of his attention can send a shiver through me. Colleen just needs to stop. Teenage boys never have this much charisma. Have you ever met a teenage boy? They're all awful. It's like the law. It's like, little boys don't have charisma, okay? Stop pretending they do. You're a 40-year-old woman. Stop acting like you're into teenagers. Stop acting like you're into teenagers. It's creepy. As As much as I wish I didn't care to know anything about him, it's hard to not want attention from him because he's unique and cute, especially right now with his Rangers cap turned backwards and wisps of dark hair peeking out beneath it. He's long overdue for a haircut. He usually keeps it shorter, but I've noticed when we started back to school that it got a lot longer over summer. I like it like this. I like it short too. Crap. I've been paying attention to his hair. I feel I've subconsciously betrayed myself. He's got a sucker in his mouth, which isn't unusual. She means a lollipop. Just say a lollipop to Americans. Yeah. He's got a sucker in his mouth, which isn't unusual. I find his addiction to suckers amusing, but it also gives off a cocky vibe. I don't feel like insecure guys would walk around eating candy as much as he does. He always shows up to school eating a sucker and usually has one in his mouth at the end of lunch. He pulls the sucker out of his mouth and licks his lips, and I feel every bit of the sweaty 16-year-old that I am right now. I hate this. Oh, but look, he's not like the other boys, okay? He sucks on lollipops, which make him quirky and unique. I'm too old and cynical to be reading rubbish like this. Well, actually, no, if that's true, Colleen is too old to be writing stuff like this. And she is. Stop it, Colleen. I'm also checking off the item on the Colleen Hoover bingo of teenage boys are so hot. I feel gross even saying that line. Yeah, I'm too old to be saying that. Ugh. I do genuinely feel some sort of concern around Colleen Hoover and teenage boys, if I'm being honest. I know there are a lot of adults who write YA romance books, but you rarely get the impression that they themselves are attracted to teenagers. However you do with Colleen Hoover, I'm always left feeling a little bit grubby and gross. There's also a difference because often Colleen doesn't just write YA romance, she writes teenage porn, like porn of teenagers having sex, like explicit sex scenes of teenagers, and I just feel like that's a bit too far. Like, let's not do that, please. Yeah, okay, thanks. So Miller is also not like the other boys because he apparently moves city signs to try and literally change the dimensions of a town. Apparently this is his quirky trait, okay. I point up at the sign. Why did we just move the sign? He turns his ball cap around and points the bill of it down and pulls the bill of it down to block more of the sun. I live about a mile that way, he says, throwing a thumb over his shoulder. My favourite pizza place won't deliver outside the city limits, so I've been moving this sign a little every week. I'm trying to get it to the other side of our driveway before they finish construction and cement it into the ground. You're moving the city limit? For pizza? Miller begins walking towards my car. It's just a mile. Isn't tampering with roadway signs illegal? Maybe. I don't know. Like, this is not how any of this works. I don't understand how Colleen's brain works at all, or why she thinks this is, like, quirky or fun or interesting or realistic or just, I just don't care. I don't care. This is both something quirky that keeps appearing and a little bit of a dropped plot, because it does get mentioned again once, but also we don't see him moving the sign anymore, so yeah. We also learn at this point that Miller is a senior in school and he's also 18 years old, whereas Clara is quite young. Again, I think she's like not even 16 or something again. Or maybe she's just turned 16. I can't remember. We'll get to it. But again, why does Colleen have this obsession with putting 15 and 16-year-old girls with men who are like 18, 19? Like, it's not just in this book, it's in so many. Like, why can't these kids date other kids their own age? Why do you need underage girls with adult men? Lily and Atlas, and it ends with us. She was 15 when they met, he was 18 turning 19. In Slammed, Lacan was 17 when they met, but her love interest was a 23-year-old teacher. Like, can we stop, please? And then there's this. He begins tapping his hand on my dash in beat to the music. I'm trying to keep my eyes on the road, but I feel pulled to him. Partly because he's enthralling, but also because I feel like he needs a babysitter. Remember how in chapter 1, Morgan felt like she was Chris's babysitter, and that was, like, seen as a bad thing? Well, Colleen, I think, is trying to, like, draw parallels here between, like, mother and daughter. Be like, oh, Morgan felt like his babysitter but married him. Clara feels like his babysitter, but that means they're meant to be, or something. I don't know. Colleen's not subtle about it. It's kind of weird. Also, I don't think a boy needing a babysitter is an attractive quality. Can we just not? Miller picks up the phone to his girlfriend, and Clara thinks Um, Babe, I try not to roll my eyes. Must be Shelby Phillips, his girlfriend. They've been dating for about a year now. She used to go to our school but graduated last year and goes to college about 45 minutes from here. I don't have an issue with her, but I've also never interacted with her. She's 2 years older than me, and although 2 years is nothing in adult years, 2 years is a lot in high school years. Knowing Miller is dating a college girl makes me sink into my seat a little. I don't know why it makes me feel inferior, as if attending college automatically makes a person more intellectual and interesting than a junior in high school could ever be. So you acknowledge that 2 years is a lot when it's another girl who's 2 years older than you, but it's totally normal for a girl to try and date a man or boy who's 2 or more years older than her. Is that... There's no consistency here. I'm very confused. I was also, in my script at this point, wondering if this was the start of the I'm better than the evil X kind of plot point, or an evil X returns, or kind of both, yeah. Miller then straight up lies to his girlfriend about Clara giving him a lift home from school, and instead of calling him out for lying to his girlfriend, Clara decides to villainize the woman involved instead of the man who actually did something wrong, which is wild. I can hear Shelby on the other end of the line say, "Who gave you a ride?" He looks at me for a beat and then says, "Some dude. I don't know. Call you later." Some dude? Somebody's got trust issues. Like, I think if your boyfriend is lying to you about mundane things like this, it's reasonable for her to have trust issues. It seems like the trust issues are warranted because he's a liar, you know? I think the more accurate response from Clara here would be, "Some dude? Wow, someone's a compulsive liar." Not blaming the woman. But no, this is a Colleen Hoover book. Men can never do anything wrong in a Colleen Hoover book, can they? No. Unless they drink alcohol, that's the only thing that men are allowed to be shamed for. Clara then immediately shames Miller for not having a nice house or a nice car because apparently poor people are shocking or something. Like, seriously, Colleen Hoover should see where I grew up. Like, she would be appalled. And it was fine. It was a regular house. It was just small and run down, you know? Anyway. So Clara follows him inside and is like, "Oh no, is this how poor people live? Gross." But then is also shocked when she realizes that he has an expensive camera in his bedroom because he wants to be a director, apparently. It turns out Miller is being raised by his granddad and his grandma is dead, so if I could check off dead parents again and tragic backstory again, I would do, but it's okay. Actually, keep a check in your head of the dead parent count and dead guardian count because it gets ridiculously high in this book. Colleen just doesn't know how to write a regular healthy character who hasn't had some sort of major trauma or dead guardian in their life. Miller and his granddad have banter, which is meant to show that they like each other, because Colleen only knows how to write 2 types of interaction between people who are apparently friendly with each other. 1, it's sickeningly sweet and earnest and all, "I can't live without you, you're the bravest person I know, I would die for you." And if it's not that, it's 2, which is, "Lol, you suck. No, you suck. Oh my god. We just point out each other's flaws because that's what friends do, right? Ha ha ha. You're such a bitch. No, you're a bitch." There's no in between with Colleen Hoover. And there's also never any parents or guardians actually acting like parents or guardians. It's frustrating. Miller looks at me over his shoulder and winks. I'm not sure what the wink is for. Maybe to ease the fact that Gramps seems a little like Mr. Nebbercracker? I don't know what that is. And Miller is assuring me that he's harmless. I'm beginning to think this is where Miller gets his sarcasm from. "You're a nug," Gramps mutters. 20 books says I outlive you and your entire generation of Darwin Award recipients. Miller laughs. "Careful, Gramps. Your mean side is showing." Blah, 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 blah. There's just more of this apparent banter. It's not funny. I'm not going to read it out. It's boring, but it's on screen if you want to pause and have a read. I'm checking off insults are classed as witty banter for this one as well. The granddad then tells Clara about a time Miller messed his trousers in a food shop at 6 years old, which again is something we did not need to know. And then there's like outdated jokes about liking pineapple on pizza, and it's like, ugh, pineapple on pizza? Miller shakes his head in mock disappointment. "You aren't welcome here anymore." I'm checking off the outdated jokes one for that. Oh god. Like, why? This isn't funny, this isn't original, this isn't unique. Who do you think you are, Colleen Hoover? A mediocre man on a dating app? Chapter 3, back to Morgan, and it is present day Morgan now that she is a mum, and this is all happening at the same time as Clara flirting with the poor boy. "Morgan, stop!" Jenny pulls a knife from my hand and pushes me away from the cutting board. "It's your birthday, you aren't supposed to do any of the work." I lean my hip into the counter and watch her begin chopping the tomato. I have to bite my tongue because she's slicing the tomato way too thick. The big sister in me still wants to take over and correct her, even in our 30s. But seriously though, I could get 3 slices of tomato out of one of hers. Stop judging me, she says. I'm not. Yes, you are. You know I don't cook. I'm crossing off infantilization of women for this one. Usually it's men doing the infantilizing, but in this case it's another woman, so I guess that is something new and unique for Colleen, I guess. Not good, but it's new. Jenny says that her and Jonah are getting married, but it wasn't a romantic decision or even a real proposal. Morgan and Chris are already married, which was also not romantic and just practical because she was pregnant. Morgan says, we've been happily married 17 years now, so I don't know why I'm judging Jenny for the situation she got herself in. It just feels different. Jonah and Chris are 2 completely different people, and at least Chris and I were in a relationship when I got pregnant. I'm not even sure what's going on with Jonah and Jenny. They haven't spoken since the summer after he graduated 17 years ago, and now he's suddenly back in our lives and potentially our family. Jonah's father died last year, another dead parent, and even though none of us had seen or spoken to him in years, Jenny decided to go to the funeral. They ended up having a one-night stand, but then he flew back home to Minnesota the next day. A month later, she found out she was pregnant. Colleen doesn't know how to have any original ideas, does she? Every character in this has the same story. Another dead parent, another accidental pregnancy, another proposal because of a pregnancy, another case of a woman being punished for having sex. And look, another character married before 25. That, in terms of Morgan and Chris, that's another trope thing on my bingo list. I'm crossing that off too. I'm crossing off women being punished for sex. If I could cross off parents a 3rd time, I'd do that too. I also want to cross off sad backstory and no uterus is left empty again, but we're crossing them all off here. We're getting through them. Clara calls Jenny and is like, Jenny, her phone rings, so she wipes her hands and pulls it out of her pocket. Speaking of your child, she answers herself. Hey, Clara. She has it on speaker, so it stings when I hear Clara say, you aren't with my mother, are you? Jenny's eyes widen in my direction. She begins backing towards the kitchen door. Nope. Jenny takes the phone off speaker and disappears into the living room. It doesn't bother me that Clara always calls my sister for advice rather than asking me. The problem is Jenny has no idea how to give Clara advice. She spent her 20s partying, struggling through nursing school, and coming to me when she needed a place to stay. Yeah, like a regular 20-year-old. Like, let's not shame that. Calm down. Usually when Clara calls Jenny with something important that Jenny doesn't know how to answer, she'll make an excuse to hang up, then she'll call me and relay everything. I'll tell her what to tell Clara, then she'll call Clara back and relay the advice like it came from her. I like the setup, although I'd much rather Clara just ask me. But I get it. I'm her mom. Jenny is the cool aunt. Clara doesn't want me to know about certain things, and I get that. She'd die if I knew that I was aware of some of her secrets, like when she asked Jenny to make her appointment to get birth control a few months ago, just in case. Wow, what a super healthy family dynamic. Everyone lying to each other and no one talking to each other and everyone judging each other secretly. Bet that's not going to backfire, is it? And again, I made a snarky comment in there, but let's not judge Jenny for she spent her 20s partying and struggling through nursing school. So what? What is the problem? Not everyone needs to be a mother as soon as they're menstruating, Colleen. It is okay for women to do other things, like have a social life and get an education and have a career. I feel like Colleen is just being so judgy through characters like Morgan. I think Morgan is very, very Colleen. Like, Colleen has put a lot of herself into Morgan, and I really don't like her. Morgan still clearly has a crush on Jonah, and I just know Colleen is going to try and justify cheating at some point or kill everyone off so these two can get together guilt-free, and I can't deal with that. That was what I wrote in my original script, and I was absolutely right. You could give me, like, the premise of a Colleen Hoover book, and I could write you an outline of how she will do it and be right, like, 98% of the time because she's just so damn predictable. So, Jenny and Chris, I was a little bit off in how they die, though. My prediction was Jenny and Chris probably drink too much and die, maybe in a drunk driving accident, and therefore, like, it's going to be okay for Morgan and Jonah to get together and raise the cousin kids as creepy siblings. I was right. Well, I was right on some parts and not others. You'll see when we get there. Give me time. Even though the four of us used to be best friends, sometimes Jonah seems like a stranger to me. Well, because he is, because he disappeared out of your life for 17 years. course he's gonna be different. He looks mostly the same, but there are subtle differences. When we were teens, his hair was longer, so long he'd sometimes pull it back in a ponytail. It's short now and a richer brown. He's lost some of the honey-coloured streaks that would show up by the end of every summer, but the darker colour just brings out the blue of his eyes even more. His eyes have always been kind, even when he was angry. The only time you could tell he was upset was when his angular jawline would tense. Yeah, none of this is surprising. That's generally what happens when you know someone for like at most a year, only really hang out with them for like 2 months, and then don't see them again for 17 years. They change, they seem unfamiliar. That's normal, that's very normal. When I compare the two of them, it's hard to believe Jonah and Chris are both 35. Chris still has a baby face and could pass for being in his 20s. Jonah looks all of 35 and seems to have grown several inches, even since high school. Yeah, don't go comparing them. That's weird. No, don't like it. Don't like it. It makes me wonder how much different I look now than I did as a teenager. Well, probably a lot, because it's been 17 years and you've had a kid in that time. Like, people change. I'd like to think I still appear as youthful as Chris, but I certainly feel a lot older than 33. Well, 34 now. Can we stop, please? 34 is not old. Can we stop treating women in their 30s as though they're ancient? Let's just not, please. Thank you. Okay. Jenny immediately tells Morgan, Chris, and Jonah Clara's secret about having a crush on Miller, and they all sit around discussing it, because apparently trust is not important in this family, and everyone goes around telling each other everyone's secrets, except Jenny and Chris won't tell their own. And also Morgan won't tell about her crush on Jonah, and Jonah won't tell about his crush on Morgan. Actually, there's a lot of secrets. Apparently it's only the kids' secrets that aren't kept. Miller's dad, apparently, Chris shakes his head. He's the kid who used to sell me weed, ended up dropping out our junior year, got arrested for stealing the science teacher's car, and a load of other crap. Pretty sure he's been in jail a few years now. Chris gives his attention to Jenny. Too many DUIs or something. Why are we talking about his son? Clara isn't dating him, is she? So I'm crossing off the someone goes to prison / commits a crime thing off the bingo list now too. That's fun. Then Jenny lies again. He's like, ha ha ha, no, Clara isn't actually into him. Don't be silly. Beep, beep, beep. And then Chris is like, I'm not having my daughter date someone from that family. Grumble, grumble, grumble. And then Clara's friend Lexi comes over for dinner, despite Clara not even being there yet. And then there's a super creepy interaction, which I don't like, and I don't quite know why I don't like it, but I just don't. Jonah's there at dinner, and Jonah is currently working as a teacher at the local high school. That's his job now. And Lexi says, hey, Uncle Teacher. Hi, Lexi, he says, seemingly annoyed at the nickname she's given him. I'd be annoyed at that too. It's weird. It's so weird. He's not even like her actual uncle. I don't like it at all. Colleen Hoover has a weird thing about teachers. Jenny apparently at this point has had her baby and she's just about to go back to work. Meanwhile, Morgan is staying home to look after the kid, her nephew, Jenny's baby. So obviously Colleen is probably going to use this novel to shame working mothers and paint Morgan as a saint for being nothing more than a mum. Meanwhile, Jenny's a terrible, awful person because how dare she abandon her child and have a career? Morgan says creepy things like, Elijah's the perfect solution. A part-time baby I get to play with and send back home. Creepy, hate this, stop it, no. Lexi finally takes her seat after having made her plate. I can't stay long, I have a Tinder date. I still can't believe you're on Tinder, Jenny mutters. You're 16. Don't you have to be 18 to even open an account? Lexi grins. I am 18 on Tinder. And speaking of things that surprise us, I'm still shocked you've had the same boyfriend for more than one night. It's so unlike you. She looks at Jonah. No offense. None taken, Jonah says with a mouthful. Jenny and Lexi have always had this kind of banter. I find it entertaining, mostly because they're so much alike. Jenny had a string of boyfriends through her 20s, and had there been Tinder back then, Jenny would have been Tinder queen. Me, not so much. Chris is the only guy I've ever dated, the only guy I've ever kissed. That happens when you meet the man you're going to marry at such a young age. Hell, I met Chris before I even knew what I wanted to study in college. I guess it didn't matter though, because I didn't last that long in college. Having Clara so young put a hold on any dreams I had for myself. And I hate all of this. I absolutely hate all of this. One, yeah, that's weird. 16-year-old kids should not be on adult dating apps, and they should not be lying about their age on adult dating apps to date adult men. Stop this. Stop normalizing this. Stop making out that this is cute, quirky, silly thing. It's like, oh, kids being kids. No, stop it. Why aren't the adults stopping this? Why aren't they talking to her parents? Why aren't they having her phone monitored? Why aren't they doing anything to stop her being groomed by adult men? Kids should not be seeking out adult men to date, and adults should not be allowing this to happen. Stop it. And then the rest of it, the whole blah blah, like, look, again, shaming a woman for having more than one boyfriend as opposed to our pure perfect protagonist who's only ever kissed one man. Ugh, hate it. And again, I don't like this Jenny and Lexi banter nonsense. I'm also crossing off here annoying child speaks like an adult for Lexi because, ugh, hate this. It reminds me of the child therapist, if you will, and It Starts With Us and the little brother in Slammed and all that. I hate that. I hate this like children being treated like adults thing in Colleen Hoover books. It's weird. Don't like it. Clara finally comes home and Morgan starts comparing her husband and brother-in-law again because why not? Sometimes when Chris wants to make a point, he doesn't let up until the person he's arguing with gives in. When we were younger, I remember him and Jonah always going toe-to-toe. Jonah was the only one who wouldn't give in and let Chris win. Something has changed since he's been back though. He's quieter around Chris, always lets him get the final word. I don't think it's a show of weakness though, in fact it impresses me. Sometimes Chris still comes off as the hot-headed teenager he was when I met him. Jonah however seems above it, like it's a waste of time to try and prove Chris wrong. Maybe that's another reason I don't like that Jonah's back. I don't like seeing Chris through Jonah's eyes. I don't care how hard Colleen is trying to make us like compare the two men and like get on board with like anti-Chris, pro-Jonah, blah blah blah. Like, it's still cheating. This is emotional cheating at this point. I don't support it. And even if or when they get together after the others are dead, I'm not going to support it because you've been emotionally cheating this whole time. Like, no. I talk to no one and pick up my food. It's my birthday and I'm surrounded by everyone important to me, but for some reason I feel more alone than I've ever felt. I should be happy right now, but something is off. I can't put my finger on it. Maybe I'm getting bored. Or worse, maybe I'm boring. Oh, Morgan, love. You're a Colleen Hoover protagonist with no personality traits, except the fact you had a teen pregnancy, can't lie and hate conflict by your own admission. Of course you're boring. I look down at Elijah and smile. He looks a little like Clara did at this age. Fine blonde hair, dark blue eyes, and a perfect little round head. I start to sway back and forth. He's such a good baby, better than Clara. She was colicky and cried all the time. Elijah sleeps and eats and cries so little that sometimes Jenny will call me when he does cry, just so we can gush over how cute he is when he's upset. Ugh. I hate this all. Also, I don't think your daughter would enjoy, like, being negatively compared to her cousin. Like, it just seems mean. Maybe it's because it's my 34th birthday, but I felt like this cloud has been hanging over me since I woke up this morning. Everyone around me seems to have a purpose, yet I feel like I've reached the age of 34 and have absolutely no life outside of Clara and Chris. I shouldn't be this boring. Of course you're going to be boring. Colleen Hoover wrote you. Some of my friends from high school haven't even started families yet, and my daughter will be out of the house in 21 months. Again, this is just what happens when you're written by Colleen Hoover and have nothing going on in your life except being an accessory to a mid-man and a walk-in uterus. Of course you're boring. She doesn't allow you to have a personality or hobbies or thoughts for yourself or, you know, anything interesting going on. You get a tragic backstory, a dead parent, a uterus that can never be empty, and that's it. Oh, sorry, you're codependent with a man. That's also what you get. Of course you're boring. Morgan thinks for a while about maybe going back to college, and she voices this. Chris dismisses her as a silly little woman, and then gives her a forehead kiss. The most patronising of all kisses, and the one which is always present in Colleen Hoover's books, and I hate it. Chris immediately regrets saying that when he sees how much his choice of words hurt me. He pulls me in for a hug. That came out wrong. I'm sorry. He kisses the side of my head. I just didn't know it's something you were still interested in, since I make plenty of money to support us. But if you want to degree... He kisses me on the forehead. Go to college. I'm gonna take a shower. I hate this. I hate everything about it. I'm crossing it off. We then get a reminder of the information we got told just 35 pages ago. So remember, in chapter 1, we got told, I reach into Jonah's console and grab one of the watermelon Jolly Ranchers he always leaves behind. Watermelon is the best flavour. I don't understand how anyone could hate it, but apparently he does. And then just 35 pages later, I open a Jolly Rancher and pop it in my mouth. The taste gives me a feeling of nostalgia, and I think back to when we were teenagers, craving the nights the four of us would spend driving around in Jonah's car. Me and Chris in the back seat, Jenny in the front. Jonah had a thing for Jolly Ranchers, so he always kept a bag in the console. He never ate the watermelon ones. It was his least favourite flavour and my favourite, so he always left the watermelon for me. The repetition. She's just trying to fill the pages here. We already know this because you literally just told us a handful of pages ago. Like, I hate this. You don't need to be this repetitive. People say I'm repetitive in my videos, but I'm only repetitive because Colleen Hoover keeps repeating stuff, and so I have to keep saying it as well, and I'm fed up with it. Also, I was like, please don't tell me this is going to be some ongoing quirky thing between them, or like it's a silly like inside joke thing, or it's like, oh, you know, he's only leaving them because he knows that she likes him. Like, of course it's going to be that. Like, oh, hate this. It does come back up again. I can't believe how long it's been since I've had one. I swear sometimes I forget who I was or what I loved before I got pregnant with Clara. It's like the day I found out I was pregnant, I became someone else. I guess that happens when you become a mother, though. Your focus is no longer on yourself. Your life becomes all about this beautiful, tiny human you created. This only happens consistently in Colleen's worlds, and it's unhealthy. I am conflicted about this book, though, because in some places it seems to be more self-aware than Colleen's other book. For example, Clara pulls her leg onto the chair and rests her chin on her knee. What about you? What did you want to be when you were my age? I stare at the board, wondering if I can even answer that question. I can't. I had no idea. I didn't have any special talents. I wasn't extremely smart in any one particular subject. Were you passionate about anything, like I'm about acting? I think about her question for a moment, but nothing comes to mind. I liked hanging out with my I liked hanging out with my friends and not thinking about the future. I assumed I'd figure it out in college. Now, this is every Colleen Hoover protagonist with no discernible personality, but at least this time she's aware that she's a blank slate, and Colleen's kind of aware that she's given her no personality, so it's more self-aware than normal, but Colleen is still doing the same thing she always does, so it's still quite frustrating. Clara nods at the board. I think that should be this year's goal. You need to figure out what you're passionate about, but it can't be being a housewife. It could, I say. Some people are perfectly fulfilled in that role. I used to be. I'm just not anymore. You see what I mean? Chapter 4 is Clara's chapter, and we get a chance to cross off tech illiteracy from our list. I follow him out of the kitchen to find Mum no longer on the couch, but standing in front of the television. She pointed at the remote at the TV screen. The cable just froze. It's probably the remote, Dad says. Or the operator, I say, taking the remote from my mother. She always hits the wrong buttons and can't remember which one to press to get back to her show. I hit all the buttons and nothing works, so I power everything off. Blah, blah, blah. It just goes on and on about, like, you know, they're shocked that she has cable and not streaming services and just to remind you, this is a 34-year-old woman. She is 2 years older than me, and she's written to be more tech illiterate than my actually 69-year-old mother. It's ridiculous. Oh, I hate this. Stop it. Turns out Miller and his girlfriend broke up the night before because Miller had a conversation with Clara and followed her on Instagram, and now this morning he's unfollowed her, and it's just unnecessary drama. Like, I don't care. If he's with his girlfriend, then not with his girlfriend, and then with her, and then not, and then and he's following you on Instagram, and then not following you, and you're reading into that, and this, and this. Like, it's just so much drama. He's not worth it. Move on from him. Find a decent man. Clara pretends to Lexi that she hates Miller. I don't know why, so okay, there's that. I think that's another thing to cross off the list. She gets to school, and Jonah wants Clara to do some filmmaking competition thing because she wants to be an actress, but in order to do it, she'll have to be paired with Miller, so we're getting the whole forced proximity drama nonsense crossing that off the list too. Also, Jonah's arranging this even knowing that his supposed best friend and Clara's father won't like it, so this feels like both bad friend behaviour and bad teacher behaviour. Don't like this. Clara says things like, I kinda like that Jonah is encouraging me to disobey my father. Maybe he and Aunt Jenny really are perfect for each other. Sorry, but this is not gonna work out, Miller says. He looks at me. No offense, Clara. I'm sure you understand why. I guess his girlfriend really is the reason. I gathered when you unfollowed me on Instagram 5 hours after following me. Miller walks further into the room and drops his backpack onto a desk and plops down into the chair. According to Shelby, I shouldn't have followed you in the first place. I laugh. Your girlfriend broke up with you because I gave you a ride in 102-degree weather. There's something off about that. She broke up with me because I lied to her about it. Yeah, and you lied to her about it because you knew she'd break up with you if she found out. Therein lies the issue. Like, can we just stop making excuses for him, please? He was wrong to lie to his girlfriend. He was wrong to do something and be hanging out with someone that he knew his girlfriend was uncomfortable with. And we find out later exactly what her issue is. And I'm on the girlfriend's side here, okay? Like, I'm thoroughly on the ex-girlfriend's side. Yet Clara's acting like she's so much better than her, and like this other woman's the issue. And no, you know what? I am gonna cross off the I'm better than the evil ex thing for this on the bingo card, and I'm just kind of like a bit sick of it. Miller says he doesn't want to work with her on the competition, but she signs him up behind his back anyway and lies to him. I am obviously crossing off the main protagonist lies to love interest, or other way around for this one, obviously, because it's a big lie. Clara texts Jenny, who ominously hints that she's been the other woman in a relationship before, and then she ominously stops replying. I'm saying ominously a lot. Ominously. Chapter 5 is Morgan's chapter, and oh my god, what a surprise. Chris has been in a bad car accident, so Morgan runs to the hospital. Who could see this coming? We didn't predict it in the first chapter. When she gets there, she tries to find Jenny because her sister's there and is a nurse and she should be working that day, but it turns out Jenny's been lying and isn't actually scheduled to start work until tomorrow. So, oh my god, why would she lie about going to work? Where is she? I said in my original script, prediction time, she's been cheating with Chris, they both had a car accident while being together cheating, and they die. And this is how Colleen Hoover manages to excuse Morgan's emotional cheating with Jonah and their eventual getting together. I was 700,000 billion% right. That's the entire book. There. Done. Jonah appears at the hospital out of nowhere. He's been called for Jenny, so I'm like, yeah, see, we know this is happening. I finally look up at Jonah, and I've never seen him like this. Pale, expressionless. For a moment, I worry more about him than myself, so I take Elijah from him. He backs up to a chair and sits down. In the midst of my internal hysteria, irritation begins to claw its way out. Chris is my husband. Jonah should be worried about me more than himself right now. So you're creating tension that could all be solved with a conversation by just saying, like, who you're here to see. So I'm crossing that off the list too. Is Jenny on her way over? I lift my head just as Jonah swings his gaze in my direction. He doesn't answer my question. He just stares at me, his brow furrowed. So I continue. I tried calling her, but whoever answered the phone in labour and delivery kept telling me she isn't on the schedule today. Jonah's eyes squint with a shake of his head. I'm confused, he says. I know. I told her she started back today, but the woman tried arguing with me. Why are you trying to call Jenny? He's standing now. The confusion dripping from him is making me more nervous than I already am. She's my sister. Of course I'm going to call to tell her about Chris. Jonas shakes his head. What about Chris? What about Chris? I'm so confused. What do you mean? They called me and said Chris was in a wreck. Why else would I be here? Jonas swallows, dragging his hands down his face. Somehow his eyes fill with even more concern. Morgan, he steps closer. I'm here because Jenny was in a wreck. If I wasn't already sitting, I would have fallen. So there you go. That's it. We were right. Predicted it all. They both die. Cool. Great. Love that for them. It's what they deserve. I have no patience today, God's sake. So now we've just finished the 5th chapter of the book, and we currently have 4 dead parents and a grandparent. That is a lot, even by Colleen Hoover's standards. This is insane. And another parent in jail, so there you go. Chapter 6 is Clara's chapter, and she says she feels irreparably broken, and I can't even blame what happened on them. And I can't even blame what happened to them on anyone but myself. She seems to think that because she was texting Jenny, that's what caused the crash, and she's to blame for it, but that's just not true at all. And again, this could all be resolved if you just have a conversation with each other and like ask about what actually happened and talk to each other, but nope, they need to create unnecessary drama, don't they? Morgan and Jonah have decided to lie to Clara and not tell her about Chris and Jenny having an affair. Clara is just completely clueless about this. Again, all the tension here could be resolved with a conversation, but they choose not to. So she doesn't understand why Morgan chooses to have separate funerals for Chris and Jenny. She doesn't understand why Jonah gets mad and leaves in the middle of Chris's funeral. To be fair, they're not telling her thing. I don't know. That's difficult. On the one hand, you don't want her to have any bad memories of her dead dad and her dead auntie, but also she's 16 years old. She could probably understand and deal with it. And I feel like this wasn't actually written to be considerate to her character. It's just because Colleen wanted to create more drama later so she can be mad at her mum for a while and be mad when she finds out her mum's sleeping with Jonah and blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? It's for the drama. It's not really realistic. The moment I found out they had the wreck, I knew in my gut what caused it. I was texting Aunt Jenny. She was responding to my text at first, and then she wasn't. I never heard back from her, and then 2 hours later I found out about the wreck. I'd like to believe it wasn't my fault, but Aunt Jenny said she was on her way to work when I texted her. I should have been more concerned about her reading my text while driving, but I was only concerned about myself and my issues. I wonder if Mum knows my conversation with Jenny is what caused them to crash. Had I not been texting her in that moment, had I just waited until she was at work, my mother wouldn't have lost both her sister and her husband. She wouldn't be struggling right now with being forced to bury two of the most important people in her life. Jonah wouldn't have lost Jenny. Elijah wouldn't have lost his mother. I wouldn't have lost my father, the only man I've ever loved. One, this is what makes me think, like, just tell her, just have a conversation. Like, Jenny wasn't even driving. If Clara just been told that, like, she wouldn't have these worries. And two, can you please not refer to your dad as the only man you've ever loved, because it gives creepy emotional incest vibes, and just knowing what Colleen Hoover's like, I'm not a fan of it, please. Thank you. Clara then, despite being mad at Jonah for missing Chris's funeral, decides to skip out of the funeral herself and leave, and then Miller finds her, and I'm surprised to see him. He's wearing a suit, black on black. I feel terrible that my body can somehow feel this much grief, yet be sparked with a twinge of attraction as soon as Miller's in my presence. I use my palms to wipe tears from my face. Hi. I hate these books. I really, really hate these books. Clara then decides she wants to get high, for reasons. So she drives off with Miller and gets Miller to buy her weed. And then Clara's like, I don't know how to smoke this. And Miller's like, well, I don't know how to smoke this. So Clara looks up a YouTube video on how to smoke weed. And I don't even know what to say about this. It's ridiculous. Well, crap. I didn't think I'd have to do it myself. I've never even lit a cigarette before, I say, and pull out my phone and open YouTube. I search for how to light a joint and start playing a video. YouTube has weed smoking tutorials, he asks. Shocking, I know. Miller is finding this amusing. I can tell by the expression on his face. He scoots close to me and watches the video with him. You sure you want to get high? Your hands are shaking. He takes the phone from me. It would be rude to change my mind now. You already paid for it. Miller continues holding the phone for us. When the video's over, I pull the lighter out of its socket and stare at it hesitantly. Here, I can try. I hand it to him and he lights the joint as if he's a pro. Kinda makes me question his initial claim. He inhales once, then blows the smoke away from me, out his open window. He hands it to me next. When I attempt to inhale, I just end up coughing and spluttering through the whole thing. I'm not nearly as graceful as he was. I look at the joint disappointed. Well, crap. I look for somewhere to snuff it out, but there's not an ashtray in his truck. What do I do with it? I don't like it. Miller takes it from me, pinches the end of it with his fingers. He gets out and throws it in a trash can, then comes back to his truck. Such a gentleman, buying me weed and then disposing of it for me. This is a real scene in a real published book. People paid Colleen Hoover money for this. At this point, Miller is back with his ex-girlfriend, Shelby, apparently, and she wouldn't like him being with Clara now, so he's still lying to her and going behind her back. I guess everyone in this book is just cheating in one way or another, either physically or emotionally. I hate it. I am crossing off the Evil Ex Returns thing for this. There you go. Meanwhile, Morgan has used an app to track Clara and tracks her down, and is obviously mad to find her skipping out of her father's funeral to be in a car with a boy smoking weed. I think this is fair. I'm on the mother's side for this one. Chapter 7 is Morgan's chapter. 2 years, 6 months, and 13 days. That's exactly how long Clara and I can live off Chris's life insurance policy if we continue to live like we're living. His social security check won't come close to what his actual paycheck was, which means decisions need to be made. Finances need to be reconfigured. Clara's college fund may need to be decreased. I need to find a job, a career. See, this is the danger in relying entirely on a partner for financial support, but, like, at least it's been vaguely addressed here, I guess. My mother died a few years ago, but she's the last person I'd want to get parenting advice from anyway. I have friends, but none of them have experienced this level of unexpected loss. I feel like I'm navigating waters that are uncharted by anyone I know. Look, a 5th dead parent. That is, in 7 chapters, 5 dead parents, 1 dead grandparent, and a parent in prison. Why does she do that? Like, why? Why does she do this? Does she just want to completely isolate her characters to make them easier to abuse? Or is she just lazy and she doesn't want to bother writing any more characters into the story outside of her love interests? I think it's that one. But it also ends up unintentionally being the first thing. Anyway, Jonah comes over and he's like, let's investigate for real if they were cheating. And Morgan says no, but then Jonah pushes anyway, so they go and do it. It turns out Chris left in his own car that morning. Jenny left in her own car, but then they were in Jenny's car when they died, but Chris was driving Jenny's car, so they're like, where is Chris's car? It turns out Chris's car was at a hotel. Shocking. Jonah's run the hotel and says they've been leaving voicemail calls on Chris's phone. They said we can come get the keys and the stuff that was left in their room. Their room. My sister and her husband's hotel room. Shocking. And then it really just turns into trauma porn at this point. Colleen does everything to paint these two dead characters as awful people to excuse Morgan and Jonah getting together as soon as possible. As soon as I see the black lace trim edging a piece of dainty lingerie, I fall back into the front seat. I stare ahead, motionless. I try not to let images flash through my mind, but knowing my sister was planning to wear lingerie for my husband is quite possibly one of the worst things imaginable. Jonah's also immobile. We each silently grapple with the reality of what this means. My doubt is devoured by our new grim reality. I turn into myself, pulling my knees to my chest. Morgan worries about Jonah raising Elijah alone and says, granted, Elijah is an easier baby than Clara. They look like they could be twins, but their personalities are nothing alike. So at this point in my script, I was like, oh my god, Elijah's actually Chris's. Yep, no, hate that, gross, no. They are both cousins and half-siblings. I do not like that. No. Who has Elijah? Clara asks. I hear that question come from Clara, but I can't answer it because my thoughts aren't moving forward. They're stuck on the last thing that went through my head. They look like they could be twins. I grip the wall after being hit by what feels like a £10,000 realization. As if their deaths weren't enough, the blows just keep coming and they're getting more and more severe. Yeah, that's what Colleen Hoover does. She just writes trauma porn. Clara's chapter next, and it's very, very boring. She sneaks out of the house, goes to the cinema that Miller works in, and she poses as his sister so she can get into a film for free with like a family discount. And then he comes into the cinema after the film's over and it's empty, and they talk about boring film stuff, which will probably age poorly. And then she feels bad that she likes being with him while he has a girlfriend, and it's like a whole thing. And I think I'm going to cross off the will they won't they thing on the bingo list for this. Even though they obviously will get together, still doing it anyway. Then she goes home and they message on Instagram talking about his girlfriend, Shelby. Me. Has she always been a jealous person? Or did you do something to make her that way? Miller. She's not a jealous person. She's only jealous when it comes to you. Me. What? Why? Miller. It's a long story. A boring one. Good night, Clara. Good night, Clara. It's a boring story. Whatever. The fact that Miller has a story that includes me in the narrative is going to be the only thing I can think about for the rest of the night. Me. Good night. Make sure you delete these messages. Miller. Already have. So I'm crossing off the lol I'm so mysterious and won't tell you anything one for this, but also this is cheating. This is emotional cheating. If you have to delete messages and hide and sneak around so your girlfriend won't find out that you're talking to someone else, that is cheating. Just break up with her. She deserves better. Clara gives Miller her phone number and he saves it under a fake name so he doesn't get in trouble. It's like, you save my number in a fake name so you don't get in trouble? I was thinking about it. What about Jason? Jason is a good name. Everyone knows a Jason. She wouldn't be suspicious. Like, this is cheating. This is, like, we're crossing off the cheating as an excuse for this because this is just cheating. And then she does have a little change of heart, so there is a little more self-awareness, you know. Me. Never mind. Don't save me under a fake name. I don't want to be Jason in your phone, and I don't want to be your fake sibling at the movie theatre. Call me someday when I can just be Clara. The dots appear on my phone. They disappear. He doesn't text me back. After a few minutes, I screenshot our messages and delete his number. A bit weird, but okay. Also, the screenshots never come back up, so odd choice. Chapter 9, Morgan again. 2 weeks pass, and they just happen off-page until Jonah is ready to interact with Morgan again. I am crossing off the time passes differently when the love interests are apart, when the love interests are apart / time jumps when apart for this, obviously. It's like, if they're not having a conversation, time doesn't matter. Like, things happen, we just don't see it, okay? Like, Morgan doesn't exist outside Jonah. Clara doesn't exist outside Miller. That's just how this book is. That's how Colleen Hoover love interests are. It's very frustrating. Jonah has now also realised that the baby Elijah must be Chris's kid because the kid has his smile. So he drives over to Morgan's house in the middle of the night and then just abandons the baby with her. Like literally just abandons the baby. Why would Jenny lie to me about something this huge? He's full of anguish, gripping his hair and then slamming his palms against the car, like he has no idea what to do with his hands. His head hangs between his shoulders in defeat. Having an affair was one thing, but to lead me to believe I fathered her child? Who does that, Morgan? He pushes off the car and strides towards me. I've never seen him this angry. I find myself taking small steps backwards. Did you know he wasn't mine? He's looking at me like I was in on this somehow. Is that why she showed up out of the blue at my father's funeral last year? She needed to cover up who really got her pregnant? Was this some kind of sick plan? His words kind of hurt because, of course, I didn't know any of that. I only just recently suspected Chris could be Elijah's father, but this is the first time I've seen Jonah since having that suspicion. Do you actually think I would have let them get away? Do you actually think I would have let them get away with that? So Colleen is really going all out to villainize them here. Jonah abandons the baby with her. End of chapter. Clara's chapter, nothing happens. Let's go to chapter 11. Morgan looks after the baby. Nothing happens. This is a very boring book. To say so many people are like dying and there's all this like, it's very boring. Very boring. At this point, I felt like I was going a little bit crazy, so I decided to look at reviews for this book and have come to the conclusion that either everyone else in the world is insane or I'm insane. Someone's insane. Like, this is weird and wrong and bad. Listen to this review. I don't think we read the same book. The character development was perfect. I loved the separate romances. Morgan and Jonah, Miller and Clara, and Gramps. We cannot forget Gramps. It was different. That's one vital point about Colleen. Her books are never the same, and you seldom ever come across a storyline similar to the ones she's written before. Like, are you actually joking? Every one of her books is basically the same. That's why I'm able to write this stupid list of, like, tropes and bingo points and what, because everything she does is the same in every single book. I feel like I'm going crazy here. Like, these people cannot be reading the same books as me. They just cannot. Next chapter, Clara drives to Jonah's house to be like, what the hell are you doing? Why are you abandoning your baby? And again, this feels kind of almost like parentification, but not quite, because why do so many children have to fix the traumatized adults in Colleen's books? She writes children acting like adults and adults who act like children, and it's not healthy or normal, and I hate it. Jonah is also like, oh my god, a child's telling me I'm being bad. What the hell am I doing? And then he goes to get his son, which isn't his son, but he's decided it's his son because why not? What the hell am I doing? He whispers. He rushes to the dining room table, sweeping up a set of car keys. He begins to head for the garage door. Where are you going? Jonah pauses and faces me. To get my son. He opens the garage door, but before he leaves, I call after him. I'll stay and clean your house for $50. Jonah then walks back to the living room as he pulls his wallet out of his pocket. He takes 2 20s and a 10 and hands the 3 bills to me. Then he does something unexpected. He leans in and gives me a quick kiss on the forehead. Oh, no, stop it. No, stop it. Enough with the forehead kisses, please. No, do not, no. Chapter 13. Jonah turns up at Morgan's house, obviously the kid. And this is something that I said literally like a couple of minutes ago. I'm doing a Colleen Hoover thing, I'm repeating myself. But what's interesting about Colleen Hoover's female protagonists is that she often writes from the perspective of women a lot, but they never actually exist on the page without a male love interest present, or unless they're talking about a male love interest. Even in that last chapter, sure, we saw Clara without Miller, but only because she was with her mother's love interest instead. These books would not pass the Bechdel test. Clara and Morgan argue over absolutely nothing, and then Morgan decides to smash up the kitchen door because she hates it. She uses a hammer. I am crossing off smashing furniture for this. See, every Colleen Hoover book is exactly the same. In Clara's chapter, she says about her mum, and then there's everything we haven't talked about. The fact I was texting Jenny when they died, and I know where she and Jonah went when they left the house together. The Langford, the hotel. That's... Well, we'll get to that in a second. I saw it on the app. I asked her that night where they're gone, but she wouldn't tell me. If I brought it up to her now, I have a feeling she'd lie to me. And again, this could all be fixed if you just spoke to each other. It really, really would. Basically, she saw that her mum and Jonah went to this hotel, and she's like, oh, so they must be having an affair. Ugh, can't believe they're sleeping together. Not that they uncovered the other affair. You know what I mean? Anyway. Turns out, in this whole back and forth, well, Miller has broken up with his girlfriend again, and he decides to follow Claire on Instagram. Again. I hate this book. Then Clara says, aside from a few dates I went on with a guy named Aaron last year without my parents' permission, I've never been on a date with anyone else. Not that I consider whatever it is we're doing an actual date, but I can't help but compare it to what little experience I've had in the past. My parents have been extremely overprotective, so I never even bothered asking if I could go out with a guy. So we get another case of another Colleen Hoover protagonist being like, I'm just so pure and innocent and I'll only ever be with one boy. Me. Like, they're allowed to occasionally kiss another boy as long as they don't enjoy it, but they can't sleep with more than one person. That's absolutely bad. Classic Colleen. Miller says that his granddad is dying of cancer and he has maybe 6 months to live, so pretty soon we're going to have 5 dead parents and 2 dead grandparents in this book. They just kill everyone off. Ridiculous. 18, nearly 19-year-old Miller then confesses that he's had feelings for 16-year-old Clara for 3 years. 3 years. He has such a serious look in his eyes and it makes me nervous when he begins to speak again. Earlier, when you called yourself my backup plan, I wanted to laugh, because if anything, Shelby was my backup plan for you. I've had a thing for you for almost 3 years. That means when he was 15, almost 16, she was 13. It's like, it's wrong. 18 and 16 is one thing, and I probably wouldn't call that out if it was an isolated thing that Colleen Hoover didn't have a pattern of doing. But 18 and 16 is okay, that's fine. In some circumstances, that's fine. Even 19 and 16 could be fine. But 16 and 13, that's wrong. That's really... 13 is barely a teenager. She would have looked like a child then. Like a young... Like, you've seen what 13-year-olds look like. No. A 16-year-old boy and a 13-year-old child should not be... No. Stop it. No. I hate this. No. And then they kiss. It's a quick kiss. Unexpected for both of us, I think. When I pull away, I'm biting my lip nervously, wondering if I should have done that. I rest my head against the couch and wait for his reaction. He doesn't take his eyes off me. I didn't think that our first kiss would be like that, he says quietly. Like what? Sweet. How did you think it would be? His eyes wander to the few remaining customers still lingering. I can't show you in here. When his gaze meets mine, the satisfaction in his lazy smile fills me with confidence. Then let's go to your truck. Ugh, I hate this. I really hate this. This feels very close to the me man, you submissive trope on the list, but not quite, so I am going to leave it for now. They spend a while coming up with awful ship names for themselves, so I'm crossing off nicknames for this too because it's close enough. I hate this so much. Then he does this whole thing of trying to be dominant as they kiss again, so I am crossing off the me man, you submissive thing now. There you go. Let's skip over all the teenage sex scenes because we don't need to read that, we're adults. Morgan's chapter. There's a soft knock on the back patio door and I glance up, almost having forgotten that Jonah has been here for the past 20 minutes fixing the kitchen door. I stand up and tuck my hair behind my ears when he walks outside. Do you have pliers? I'm pretty sure Chris does, but his toolbox has a lock on it, but I might have a pair. I walk into the house and go to the laundry room. I keep my own toolbox for when I need to fix stuff when Chris wasn't around. It's black and pink. Chris got it me for Christmas one year. He also got one for Jenny. The thought pierces me. Sometimes I think it's getting better, but then the simplest memories remind me how much it still sucks. I put my toolbox down and hand it to Jonah. Now, I'm not going to mock the pink toolbox here. My toolbox is pink. My drill is even pink. I love pink stuff. I buy pink stuff all the time. If I have a choice, I'm always going to buy the pretty colour, right? That's fine. I do, however, find it weird that a person locks their toolbox and makes their wife, who they live with, have a separate one. That's dodgy as hell. And at this point in my script, I said, I reckon he's going to be hiding creepy affair stuff in his locked, non-pink toolbox. And I also didn't understand why he bought Jenny her own toolbox as well, because from what I could tell earlier, we haven't mentioned it, Jenny was living with them for several years. While she was finishing up nursing school, and she lived with them for years. So they had 3 adults in the house with 3 separate toolboxes. What house needs 3 toolboxes? That's weird. That's just very, very weird. No. It's revealed that the day after Morgan found out she was pregnant with Claire is when Jonah decided to move to the other side of the country. And then, oh god, the Jolly Rancher thing is brought up here again. I hate this. I walk to the kitchen and grab a Jolly Rancher. I lean against the counter and stare absent-mindedly at the hole in my kitchen door, wondering why Jonah so casually brought up the day I found out I was pregnant like it wasn't one of the worst days of my life. Maybe he brought it up because his leaving the next day didn't mean as much to him as it did to the rest of us. I forced myself not to think about that week since it happened, but now that Jonah brought it up, every moment of that day begins running through my mind. I am crossing off something quirky that keeps appearing for those damn Jolly Ranchers, and I'm so sick of it. It's very clear he's going to do this whole oh, I left that day because I've always loved you and I couldn't see just... and I couldn't stand to see you with another man's child. I appreciate. We know he's going to do that. I'm sick of it. Let's not. There's a flashback scene to that day. Jonah sighed heavily and then whispered, I'm worried we got it wrong. His statement made my breath hitch. I didn't ask him what we might have gotten wrong because I was too scared of his answer. I was scared he was going to say that we weren't with the person we were meant to be with. Of course, he could have been about to say anything, but that's where my mind went, because why else did he look at me the way he looked at me sometimes? I tried to ignore it because Jonah and I had never been romantic in any sense, but we had a connection, one Chris and I didn't even have. Can you please stop trying to justify your emotional affair? Ugh. Morgan goes on to say, I hated it. I hated that Jonah always knew when something was bothering me, but Chris was clueless. I hated that Jonah and I could give each other a look and know exactly what the other was thinking. I hated how he had always saved the watermelon Jolly Ranchers for me because it was a sweet gesture, and I didn't like that my boyfriend's best friend did sweet things for me. Besides, he and Jenny had just started dating. Unlike Jenny, I would never have betrayed my own sister. Can you stop trying to make the Jolly Ranchers thing a thing? Ugh. When Chris started making his way down the hill, I should have been relieved to finally have that alone time with him, but I was devastated. Chris sat down next to me on the blanket and handed me a bottle of water. I love Chris. I was going to have his baby, even though I hadn't told him that yet, but I felt guilty because in all the time Chris and I had been dating, he'd never once given me a look that trickled down my spine. I was scared that I'd never feel that again. I was scared that I was wrong, and that maybe I loved Chris, but I wasn't in love with him. He put his arm around me. Babe, what's wrong? I wiped at my eyes, blew out a breath, and said, I'm pregnant. I didn't wait for Chris's reaction. I immediately stood up and cried the entire walk back to his car. Even then, I was blaming the tears on hormones, on finding out I was pregnant. I blamed the tears on everything besides what actually caused them. The next day, Jonah told Jenny he wanted to move in with his sister and go to college in Minnesota. He packed up his things, bought a plane ticket, and didn't even come tell me or Chris goodbye. Oh, they're really trying to sell this, whole, Morgan and Jonah, they're meant to be super duper true love. I don't care. I really don't care. I don't like any of these people. This all sounds like a big toxic mess and they'd all be better off without each other. Next up, Clara's chapter is chapter 16. Despite knowing I just annoyed my mother by being half an hour late for curfew, I still can't stop smiling. That kiss with Mill was worth it. I bring my fingers to my lips. I've never been kissed like that. The guys I kissed in the past all seemed like they were in a hurry, wanting to shove their tongue in my mouth before I changed my mind. Miller was the opposite. He was so patient, yet in a chaotic way. It was like he'd thought about kissing me so often that he wanted to savor every second of it. See, we're still getting that oh look, I was so pure before the main love interest, and even if I was with anyone else, it wasn't like it was real. It wasn't like this. This is my real first kiss because it's just so different and I hate it. Let's normalize allowing female characters to experience love and lust and have great sexual experiences with other characters other than the ones they marry. They can still have great sex with someone else and fall in love. That's a lot. I mean, obviously not at the same time, that's cheating. But you know what I mean. Anyway, Miller calls her on the phone and is like, I've liked you for so long because you're so epic. And I didn't realize people still use the word epic, but oh god, I hate this. He tells the most unbelievable story. I hate this. He reminds her of that time Mark Avery popped your bra strap in the hallway and you were so sick of having him do that you followed him to his classroom, reached inside your hoodie, took off your bra and then threw it at him. I remember you yelling something like, if you want to touch a bra so damn bad, just keep it, you perv. Then you stormed out. It was epic. Everything you do is epic, Clara, which is why I've never had the courage to approach you, because an epic girl needs an equally epic guy, and I guess I've just never felt epic enough for you. I said epic so many times in the last 15 seconds, I'm so sorry. He's out of breath when he finally stops talking. I'm out of breath because I'm so angry at this book. But do you really think, and this was apparently when she was 13, or maybe 14 at a push, do you really think a 13-year-old girl would do this? Bras are expensive as well. No one is throwing them at people they hate just to prove a point. I don't know about anyone else, but at 13, any teenager, I would never have felt comfortable walking around school braless. This is just not a thing that would happen. Very odd, very odd. Morgan turns up at the school, and Clara's like, what are you doing? She holds up the folder. Applying for a job. Here? They're hiring substitute teachers. I thought I could do that for a few months, see if I like it. I've decided to go back to college. The hall is starting to clear out. I look around to make sure no one is near us. Are you serious? She looks at me like I just offended her. What's wrong with me going to college? I didn't mean to offend her. If she wants to go to college, I'm happy for her. But the last thing I want is for her to test the waters at the school I attend daily. We already can't get along at home. I can't imagine potentially having her in class. So I'm struggling to read at this point, but I don't know about America, but you can't just randomly decide to be a substitute teacher, right? When you have no further education and no work experience. You need at least a degree, ideally in teacher training, or like to be working towards one if you want to be a substitute teacher. It's so weird. And this happens, and then she doesn't get the job, obviously, and it's just forgotten about. I don't even know if she actually goes to an interview for it. So this is a dropped plot point. And also, I'm crossing off Colleen misunderstands the basic of her character's career for this one, because it's ridiculous. Then Morgan finds out that Clara is dating Miller and gets angry, and they have an argument in the corridor, and Morgan is like, it wasn't even your aunt giving you advice all those years, it was me! And then Clara storms off and is like, why would you take that away from me? And they have a big argument, and again, if they actually just had a conversation at any point in their lives, there would be a lot less drama. Clara then goes and cries to Jonah, who's supposed to be comforting her, but he just says nothing of any substance. I genuinely think Jonah may be, and this is really saying something, the blandest of all Colleen Hoover love interests. All we know about him is he exists, he has a child, except he doesn't really have a child, he doesn't like alcohol or watermelon flavoured sweets, and he's a teacher. That is it. He has no personality traits, no interests, he's never made a joke, he's never shown to have any hobbies, he doesn't even do the Colleen Hoover and being mean to you but it's banter because I like you thing. He just does nothing. There's nothing to him. Back to Clara again, her chapter, and you know, when I first started this book, I felt like this book used quite normal names for once. I was like, oh good, great, we like this, at least compared to other Colleen Hoover books. But then I got to this part. She's talking to Lexi in the school canteen. I think it's the canteen. Lexi says about Miller, I don't know anything about you. I don't even know your middle name. Is it also a brand of beer? I turn to Miller when her question sinks in. Oh, I didn't realise your first and the last name are brands of beer. So, wait, what even is his last name? I can't remember now, and it's not written in my notes. Adams. Okay, apparently Adams is a kind of beer. His name is Miller Jeremiah Adams. Okay, yeah, so at this point I am crossing off stupid names too, because Colleen just named him after beer, which is still not as stupid as when she called a character Leeds because she thought Leeds sounded like a sexy place. As someone who lives in Leeds, it is not. There is nothing sexy about Leeds. And okay, this is quite funny in my notes. I thought, actually, if we remember that his dad is a drug-dealing alcoholic criminal and that that's his only defining trait in this book, then I'm going to have to stretch to crossing off your surname as your job too. Because if you have an alcoholic with beer as a surname, I'm taking it, okay? This is my game, I can bend the rules however I like. Lexi then asks Miller to set her up with one of his friends, and she requests, well, basically, Hitler's dream man. He shrugs. I'm not picky. I prefer blonde men with blue eyes, someone with a dry sense of humour, a little rude, hates spending time with people, doesn't mind a girlfriend who has a shopping addiction, and likes to be right about everything, athletic, taller than 6 foot, and Catholic. Like, how many stereotypes do you want to fit into one paragraph? Of this, like, tee-hee, I'm such a silly little girl who likes shopping and tall men, and men being mean means they like me. No, it's very unhealthy. Stop it. Possibly controversial, but again, this is my game. I can make the rules however I like. I am crossing off. I like when you abuse me for that one too, because I know it's not exactly the same, but I want to. Miller then just randomly brings over a man called Efren Beltran. Yep, I'm scribbling out the stupid name once again here. Ridiculous. Efren has black hair, he's shorter than Lexi, and he's certainly not athletic. He moved here from the Philippines before starting school a few years ago. Efren smiles at Lexi from across the lunchroom, but groans and lifts a hand to her face, hiding her view of him. Lexi's eyes widen like I'm betraying her. He's like 5'7". She peeks through her fingers and sees Miller walking Efren over to the table. She groans and drops her hand, but doesn't hide her disappointment with Miller's selection. How tall is your dad? Lexi asks him. Do you think you're finished growing? I don't know, Efren says, shrugging. My dad left when I was 3. I have no idea what he looks like. I can see Lexi's eyebrows rise, albeit very subtly. Mine too. Christmas Day. So now we have, just to, do a recount, 5 dead parents, a dead grandparent, a dying grandparent, and 3 absent parents. Come on, Colleen. It's ridiculous. Lexi shrugs. I don't know. I think I had this attitude before I was 3. It's probably why he left. Ephraim agrees with a nod. Probably. If we start dating, don't get used to me being around, because I'll probably get tired of your attitude and leave too. Lexi tries not to smile at all, but I'm pretty sure Ephraim's sarcasm is sexier to her than his height would be if he were tall. Yeah, I'm sorry, but like, being rude to someone isn't flirting. This isn't flirting. This is just being rude. Like, yeah, I'm definitely crossing off the I like when you abuse me option for this. Absolutely. Lexi then refuses to go to the cinema with Clara that evening because... I just read my notes. Oh, I can't believe I'm even saying this. She doesn't want to go to the cinema because she believes all cinema chairs are covered in semen. Who writes nonsense like... Well, Colleen Hoover writes nonsense like this. Why? Who reads... What? Why? What is my life? How is this my job? I need a new job. In Morgan's chapter, she's busy being all like, blah, 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 babies are the best things ever, when Jonah just lets himself into her house and decides to announce that he's breaking into Chris's mysterious toolbox. As expected, it's filled with love letters from Jenny. Again, I'd say I told you so, but that's really not much of a brag considering how predictable Colleen Hoover is. Shockingly, Jonah eats a watermelon-flavoured Jolly Rancher sweet, and this is shocking because we've been told by now like 5 times that he hates them, and then Morgan's like, oh my god, why are you doing that? You hate them. And he's like, huh? What? And she's like, you hate them. And then Jonah swallows, and then in a rough whisper he says, I've never hated watermelon Jolly Ranchers. I only saved them because I knew they were your favourite. Shocking. I'm shocked. I'm telling you. Are you guys shocked? I'm shocked. We should all be shocked. Well, look at this shocking turn of events. How shocking. Don't forget to leave a comment telling me how shocked you were by this shocking sentiment. Shocking. I hate this so much. The words roll through me, slowly warming up the coldest parts of me. I stare at him silently, not because I'm speechless, but because probably that's the sweetest thing a man has ever said to me, and it didn't even come from my husband. Oh, this is the saddest thing I've ever read in a book. If that's the nicest thing a man has ever said to you, then you find some better men, be around better men, go have a real relationship. Oh god, I hate this world. Then they both decide to just get really angry and they start throwing eggs and various food at a painting that Jenny bought Chris for Christmas, which is hanging in the kitchen. I mean, good job if this helps you, but maybe try going to therapy instead of damaging your home at every opportunity. I don't know, just a thought. They nearly kiss, but they don't because Clara comes home. And I am going to cross off the we need to stop sexy time / sexy time interrupted for this one. Clara is obviously fuming and she's like, oh my god, you're having an affair. Then we get Clara's chapter and she storms back out of the house and goes to the cinema again to see Miller. In the middle of his shift, he just decides to skive off and not work for reasons. He takes her to an empty screen and he gives her a crap ton of free food. And I'm just going to say, he should have been fired for this. He's skiving off, he's giving her free stuff. Yeah, he's sneaking her into the cinema for free. He should have been fired for this, so I'm crossing that off the list. Clara then asks him a bunch of stuff about his ex, and he's like, it's weird being back sleeping in my own bed on Saturday nights. And then Clara goes, oh, her mum let you sleep at her house? Like, in her bed? It's unconventional, I know, but her parents are pretty lenient in a lot of areas. And technically, she's an adult in college. I guess that had a lot to do with it. I don't get her shock. Like, this is like a 19-year-old woman and an 18-year-old man. Like, is this not normal when you're an adult? I think the most shocking thing about this is the fact that the college girlfriend or ex-girlfriend was still living with her parents. Like, that's quite unusual in the UK. Yeah, I don't think 2 adults sharing a bed on a Saturday night is shocking. It makes Clara seem even younger than she is. Very weird. And it shows, like, what different stages they're at in life currently. Again, very weird. I don't know. I try not to think about everything he just said because now I'm worried about all the times he stayed at Shelby's house, all the times he slept in her bed. Will he eventually miss that? I've never had sex, and the way my mother has been acting, I'm not sure she'll even allow Miller to come over. She might even put a stop to me going out altogether, just to try and break us up. I hope not, but with her behaviour this past month, I wouldn't put it past her. Sorry, her behaviour? You're the one who's sneaking off, missing funerals, smoking weed, staying out past curfew. I'm with your mother on this, love. Oh, that's me showing my age, isn't it? I feel like Miller has been completely honest with me, so I want to do the same. I pull the oh god, they're eating lollipops. I pull the sucker out of my mouth and stare at it. So, just so you're aware, I'm a virgin. I know a cure for that, Miller says, and I want to puke everywhere. Stop it. No. Hate this. Also, again, predictable, because remember, no Colleen Hoover protagonist can have ever had sex before she meets the main love interest. Remember? When are we actually going to get a sexually confident woman who's had whatever number of partners in the past and has enjoyed her time with them with no regrets, or has maybe even been in love before, and like real genuine love, not like Morgan and Chris, like real genuine love, and she still manages to like move on and find love again, you know, like in real life? That's what I want to read about. None of this nonsense. I think about what our first time might be like, when it'll be. I look over at him and grin. Our first kiss was a cliched coffee shop kiss. Maybe losing my virginity should be cliched too. Miller raises an eyebrow. I don't know, they might ban us from Starbucks. I laugh. I'm talking about prom. It's 5 months from now. If we're still together, I'd like it to be a cliched after prom deflowering. No, I hate this book, and I never want to see or read or hear the word deflowering ever again, please. Also, I know Clara is the daughter of the guy who died, but this feels so damn disconnected from the other story and the other part of the book. Like, it feels like I'm reading two books and the stories have been forced together. But like, and I know Clara's meant to be like acting out with her mum because like the whole she feels guilty because she thinks she was texting Jenny when she died, like all that sort, and it's meant to be like this strained mother-daughter relationship at the center of it all, right? I get that that's what it's supposed to be, but it doesn't work, and it just feels very disconnected, and it just feels very disconnected, and these scenes with Miller don't really like fit with the rest of the. It's very weird. I don't like it. Basically, other than a few throwaway lines here and there, Clara's grief is barely a plot point, and this whole story with her and Miller just reads like any other generic Colleen Hoover romance, but with a few more tantrums directed at her mother. That's all. Oh, actually, tantrums. Tantrums is on my Colleen Hoover bingo list. I've not pointed them out yet, but there have been quite a few, so I'm crossing it off. Next up is Morgan's chapter again, and with great timing, we get an adult tantrum. This time, Morgan is the one having the tantrum. Morgan calls Jonah selfish for leaving all those 17 years ago. My head frustrated. You cut ties with your best friend for 17 years, Jonah. All you do is think about yourself and what you want. You never think about how your actions affect other people. I feel the look he's given me deep in my core. He's staring at me in a way I've never seen him look at anyone. It's a mixture of confusion and injury. He whispers, "Wow," and then turns and walks out of the bedroom, slamming the door behind him. Jonah Sullivan, running away again. Why am I not surprised? I'm angry now. I storm out of my bedroom, prepared to yell at him, but he's walking out the door with Elijah. He sees me following after him. He can tell how angry I am because our expressions match. He just shakes his head and says, "Don't. I'm leaving." Okay, see, I'm calling those actions tantrums, and you cannot stop me. Jenny was your sister! No matter how I felt about you, I would have never come between the two of you. I left because, unlike Jenny and Chris, I had respect for them. For you. Please don't ever call me selfish again, because that was the hardest decision I ever had to make in my entire life. He gets in his car, slams the door, and leaves. Like, how are they acting less mature than actual teenagers? Also, I think he was in the right. Like, you have feelings for someone who is pregnant with your supposed best friend's kid. Like, yeah, leave that situation. Get out of it. Don't make it worse. I think that's the sensible thing to do, right? Wild. Anyway, at this point, Clara comes home, and Morgan is like, "Were you with Miller tonight?" "Yes." I sigh. At least she was honest with me. "He's not a bad person, Mom, I promise. If you just get to know him." She's defending him, but I get it. When you're 16, you ignore all the warning signs. I blow out a breath. Just be careful, Clara. I don't want you making the same mistake I did. Clara stands up and wipes the back of her jeans. "I'm not you, Mum. Miller isn't Dad, and I really wish you'd stop referring to me as a mistake. You know that's not what I meant." So I thought this was going to be a point where we were going to get the name of the book in the book, and she would say something like, "Oh, I'll never regret you, or you'll never catch me regretting you, or just something like that, you know? Yeah, no, sadly this doesn't happen here. I also thought we would definitely get that bit said in regards to this mother-daughter relationship. I thought that's what the whole point of this book was. We do get the name of the book said in the book at one point, but it's not to do with the mother-daughter relationship, and I find that really frustrating because I think it kind of undermines everything, and it means the book is kind of about something else. You know what? Who cares about spoilers? It's Colleen Hoover. It's said in regards to Morgan and Jonah, and I think that kind of undermines the whole mother-daughter relationship part of the book, which isn't as significant as it should be, but it still feels like it's meant to be the point of the book, even though it's not executed well. I'm frustrated is what I'm trying to say. In chapter 2, we get Clara's chapter again, and Jonah uses his position as Clara's teacher to corner her in class and ask her about her mum to fish for information. This little scene starts with, I'm later than usual when I get to Jonah's class. I'm the last one to arrive before the bell rings, so I'm surprised when Jonah approaches my desk and kneels in front of it. He usually doesn't pay me individual attention in front of the other students. I'm going to use this as an opportunity to check off the unhealthy power dynamics thing in the Colleen Hoover bingo. It's not as bad as it usually is in Colleen's books, when you have bosses sleeping with their employees, teachers with their students, and so on, but I'm still going to use it here because, like I say, it's my game and this is how I want to play it. I don't have much bring me joy in life at the minute, so let me just win this made-up game that I'm in control of, please. Okay? Thank you. I'm only competing against myself. Miller says he wants to work on the film project with Clara now, but the problem is they've never bothered to discuss what they're going to film. They haven't actually planned anything and they have no ideas. But suddenly, 15 minutes later, I'm sitting at a picnic table, staring at the camera Miller propped up with a tripod right before he went to order our food. It's pointed right at me. He said he's going to start filming random things when we're together because it'll be good for the film project to have some extra footage, or B-roll, as Miller referred to it. He already talks like a director sometimes. He told me to never stare directly at the camera because we need to pretend it's not there, so of course I stare at it and make faces the entire time he's in line at the food truck. This isn't how making a film works. You don't just shoot random things with a friend and then think, oh, this is B-roll, we'll show it in some way. Even B-roll is planned. Again, this is Colleen Hoover not understanding how a career works, how a business works, how a film works, how a profession works, whatever you want to call it. I know. Do you hear Kyra grumble in the background there? Even she's mad at Colleen Hoover. Oh no. And then this is one of the worst things I've ever read. I don't know what it is about Colleen Hoover and food in this book. I hate it. I really, really hate it. He has half a sandwich still left to eat, but as soon as I say that, he stands up and walks over to a nearby trash can and tosses it inside. He sits back down. That sandwich means nothing to me. I'd take your tongue in my mouth over that sandwich any day. I crinkle up my nose and pull back. Was that supposed to be sexy? Because it wasn't. He laughs and pulls me close to him, pressing his mouth to mine. It's not a sweet kiss, though. This one is full of tongue. And bread. I push him away. You still have food in your mouth? I fake gag and take a sip of my drink. His drink is already empty, so he takes mine from me and drinks some. A moment later, he looks longingly over at the trash can and sighs. I threw it away to make a point, but I really want to eat the rest. He looks back at me. Would it be gross if I dug it out of the trash? Can we just have one book where Colleen Hoover's characters don't eat out of each other's mouths like baby birds, please? I hate this. I hate this. Miller then talks about his mum, who died when he was 10. Yeah, my mother died when I was 10. And he's her father, meaning Gramps. I have an uncle who lives in California, but he's not much help from there. Other relatives stop by a lot, make sure we have what we need, but I've lived with him ever since I was 10, so the responsibility falls on my shoulders. I had no idea his mother had passed away. I'm so sorry. I shake my head. That's a lot of pressure for someone so young. So, just to remind you and me of who's dead and who's not so far, Morgan and Jenny's dad is dead. Morgan and Jenny's mum is dead. Jenny is dead, who is a mother. Chris is dead, who is a father. Miller's mum is dead. Jonah's father is dead. Miller's grandma is dead. Miller's granddad is dying. Parents not in the picture include Miller's dad, who's in prison, Lexi's dad, Ephran's dad, and the only parents still around are Morgan, Jonah, even though actually he's not actually a parent, is he? He's kind of a step parent, but he's not we're not including Jonah just because he's not a biological parent in this, and I'm being picky. So we have Morgan as a parent who's still around, Jonah's mum, who is mentioned once but never seen, and Lexi's mum, who is never seen or mentioned. Then there's a pointless conversation about how Miller hates orange, so now Clara hates orange, the colour, not the fruit, because of course women aren't allowed to have opinions of their own, so if Miller hates it, Clara has to hate it too. Then they never work on their actual film project. This stupid orange thing brought up like 3/4 of the way into the book. It's brought back at the end as like this joke thing, like an inside joke. It's so stupid. Jonah has been in the strop with Morgan all week and refused to talk to her until he needs something. The baby is ill and he has no one else to look after the kid. So of course he goes ring to Morgan, because you always ring to a woman when a baby needs something, right? And of course she's all like, oh my gosh, yes, of course I'll look after your baby. Let me cook you breakfast too, like a good little woman who can't do anything else. And me. Jonah goes to work. Morgan looks after the baby all day and cooks him more food, as women should. And she finally admits her jealousy about Jonah sleeping with Jenny last year and the fact that they have slept together like twice since, before she died. Why did you sleep with her last year? As soon as the question passes my lips, I regret it. But since the day Jenny came home from Jonah's father's funeral and told me she'd had a one-night stand with him, I'd been full of anger. It somehow felt as if Jonah had betrayed me, even though he didn't belong to me. See, emotional cheating. Jonah takes a step closer. Not close enough that we're touching, but close enough that it feels like we are. I don't know. Maybe because she was there, he says quietly. Or maybe because you weren't. I cut my eyes to his. I wouldn't have slept with you if that's what you were saying. That's not what I'm saying. What I mean is that I was hurt after my father died and you weren't there. Even though we didn't keep in touch, you knew about the funeral because Jenny was there. He sighed regretfully. Maybe I did it hoping I would hurt you. That's a terrible reason to sleep with someone. Everything is a terrible reason to do everything in this book. The whole situation is toxic. All the people are toxic. It's a mess and I hate it. He laughs uncontrollably. Yeah, well, I don't expect you to understand. You were never in my shoes. You didn't have to stand on the sidelines and watch the girl you were in love with build a life with your best friend. Those words leave me breathless. Jealousy can make a person do some crappy things, Morgan. He stands up straight, sensing he's worn out his welcome. I should go. Yes. My voice comes out raspy and coarse. I clear my throat. You should. No, I should go away from this book because it's awful. We all should. But please stay and watch the rest of my video. Hey, and while you're here, maybe you could leave a comment, leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new. I appreciate that. Also, fun little plug in here now, because why not? If Colleen Hoover can make money off this slop, I can make money off it too. I have some really cool new merch designs available, which are really, really fun. One of them is a little snail home that I've designed myself because I've got really into snails recently. Don't ask me why, I just think they're adorable. Actually, do ask me why. I saw Memoirs of a Snail, really, really enjoyed it, thought it was lovely. Got really interested in snails as animals and started researching them and looking into them and then drawing them, and here you go, you have a snail home. You can get him on mugs, on notebooks, on t-shirts, on hoodies, all of the cute things. I love them. I've also got this amazing design that is a little more classic me, but not designed by me. I worked with an incredible artist called Anna on this. You can find her Instagram link in the video description. And she made me this amazing octopus design who is coming out of a book, and there's coral, there's mushrooms, all the things I love, all in one image. Again, you can get this on stickers, notebooks, t-shirts and hoodies, and I think he's absolutely adorable. So if you want to get him, you can do. All this available on my merch store along with my other classic merch designs. Yeah, I just thought I would give a little cheeky promo in there. I love them. I've got some photos coming soon of me actually wearing the merch, which will be fun. But until then, just here's the stock t-shirt images, but they still look really great. They're cute. I love them. Okay, anyway, now we've got the fun stuff out of the way. Jonah kisses Morgan. That was me puking, if you couldn't tell. I press my palms against his chest, fully prepared to push him away, but instead, I find myself pulling him closer with 2 fistfuls of his shirt. When he parts my lips with his, I feel his tongue slide against mine. I experience a full body shiver. It's so much all at once. It's an awakening, but it's also a death. It's the realization that I've gone my whole life being kissed by the wrong man. You'll never make me root for them. Never. Then Clara walks on it, because of course she does, bad timing and blah blah blah. And this is why you should have spoken to her before all of this, right? This will only ever end badly because you're not bothering to communicate with your daughter. She'll have another tantrum, run away, sleep with Miller, get pregnant, refuse to speak to you, but you'll reunite to help her raise her baby together alongside her baby brother cousin. Okay, I was slightly wrong about that. Most of that happens. Thankfully, she doesn't get pregnant, so we're okay. Clara storms off to her room, as you would expect. I flip off my light. I'm going to bed. I don't want to speak to you tonight. Go away! I fall into my bed. The knocking against my bedroom door finally stops. Not even 2 minutes later, I hear the front door slam. Look, another tantrum, again. I'm not saying she's not justified in this one, but it still counts. That time they left the house together, and when I looked on the app, it showed my mum's phone had been at the Langford Hotel. That was only a week after their deaths. I feel like I might be sick. How long have they been having an affair? I feel so stupid. Jonah's always asking me about her in class. He did it one time, pretending it's concern. Again, this could have all been avoided with just conversations. Just talk to each other. Communicate. I hate her so much right now. I hate her so much. I'd be fine if I never spoke to her again. I hate her so much. I sit on the edge of my bed and think of all the ways I can get revenge for what they've been doing to our family. I know what I hate so much right now and always is Colleen Hoover's bad use of repetition. She thinks if you just repeat something a lot, it makes it good writing. But no, stop it. I'm running out of ways to rebel. I've done drugs, I've gone into detention, I've lied, I've missed curfew. The only thing left I could do that I know would upset her is if I were to have sex with Miller. She's always begged me to wait until I was at least 18, which I probably wasn't going to do anyway, but if she knew I lost my virginity at 16, and to Miller Adams, it would destroy her. Oh, shut up. I really hate how Colleen Hoover writes girls wanting to use sex as some sort of revenge. She does it so damn often. I edited a video for Aleezy recently reviewing another Colleen Hoover book, Hopeless, and in it the girl was like, oh my, and sorry, this is a horrible thing, but it happens in the book, so I'm gonna have to say it, prepare yourselves. The girl literally says, oh my god, I've just had flashbacks of being raped by my father as a child. Quick, man I've known for like 2 months, have sex with me to heal me. And then obviously she's traumatized by that as well, and it's a whole thing. It's so damn unhealthy. As is this, ooh, I know, I'll make my mum mad by having sex with a boy. Like, Colleen Hoover needs to be stopped. This is not okay. But Clara goes through with it anyway. She invites Miller over, he sneaks in through her bedroom window, and I am counting this as a makeover scene, because again, this is my game, I can twist the rules however I like. I turn on my radio to help drown out any noise Miller or I might make. I light 2 candles and put one by my bed and one by the window so that he can make his way around my dark bedroom. I take a shower while I wait for him. I try to get all my tears out before he shows up. Surprisingly, there aren't that many. I'm too angry to cry, I think. I didn't know I was capable of reaching this level of anger, but I've reached it. And there may be even room for more anger. Who knows? Guess I'll see what I'm really capable of when my mother and I come face to face tomorrow. I get out of the shower and wrap a towel around myself. I blow dry my hair a little so it's not dripping wet. I apply some mascara and pinch my cheeks to make sure I look pale right now. Oh, because I look pale right now. I'm so confused then. Because I look pale right now. Realizing your own mother is not the person you thought she was can really drain the colour from your face. I'm looking for lip gloss when I hear a light tap on my window. I rush to my closet to find something to put on, but then I remember why Miller is here in the first place. He's here to get me naked. The towel will do just fine. I hate all of this. And what follows is the worst, most awkward attempt at a sex scene I've ever read. It involves graphic details of this child dropping her towel, his response being to immediately stare at the ceiling, her telling him to quickly take off his clothes before she can change her mind, and then him having brought flavoured condoms instead of just like regular ones, and her saying, why are they flavoured? Are condoms edible? My question makes Miller laugh. I wonder why. No, it's for... He suddenly blushes. You know, if you put your mouth on it. His answer makes me redden. My question just shows how inexperienced I am. The furthest I've ever gone with a guy is when Miller took off my shirt when we made out on his bed for an hour. I take the orange flavour condom out of Miller's hand and set it on the nightstand. Not the orange one. It'll ruin the moment. Can't even believe you brought that into my house. I cannot deal with this. I can't. I hate it all. I am crossing this off as a bad sex scene. And also excessive swearing, because while I haven't read it out, there is quite a lot in the scene, in the bits that I haven't read to you. It's not as bad as the other books for swearing, actually. And it feels like, but it still feels like the only thing male characters do when they see a woman naked is swear. It gets boring. Okay, that's in here. Where was I even going with this? Yeah, this is just proof of why sex education is important. Oh, condoms edible is just... I can't, okay. At least it's a fictional character saying it. Just, at least it's a fictional character, not someone real. Okay, this is fine. And I also hate how this is once again a case of people going from 0 to 100 straight away, and it makes no sense. She's gone from barely kissing a boy to like, yep, stick your penis in me immediately with no foreplay. Like, he literally says, hey, we can do other stuff first. Like, you know, slow it down a bit, okay? Like normal people do. And she just says, nope, let's get the hard part over with first, then we can do other stuff. Here's the thing. Penetration doesn't have to be the hard part. If you're actually ready for it, if you're comfortable with each other, if you've engaged in foreplay, if you're aroused enough, if you feel safe with your partner, it doesn't have to be a hard part. It's actually quite enjoyable. It's quite nice in the right circumstances, and if you're ready. Why don't romance authors, especially romance authors who write about teenagers having sex, why don't they ever think about this? Hate it. Hate it all. Oh god, I don't want to read this next bit. What am I doing to myself? Okay. There's a pain and pressure between my legs when he begins to push into me, and then an even deeper pain, coupled with a rush of air passing Miller's lips. I wince. He stops moving and kisses me gently on the corner of my mouth. You okay? I nod. He's kissing me again, and this time when he pushes against me, I feel it happen. A significant feeling, like there was a barrier deep inside me keeping us apart, but that barrier is gone. And Miller is moving against me now, and I just lost my virginity. It's both special and not. It's both painful and not. I regret it and I don't. And this is awful for this poor girl. It shouldn't hurt like this. I feel like this is just perpetuating the myth of like every woman has like a full hymen that breaks when they have sex. That's not true. Hymens are all very different. I've got a lot about that stuff in various past sex education videos if you want to check it out. But like, it hurting like this shouldn't be normal. It's not normal. It indicates that you're not ready, you're not aroused. Maybe you have a health thing going on. I hate all of this. I hate it. And of course she hates it too. She regrets it. All of me wishes I'd have waited. I feel bad that I rushed it. I feel bad that my anger fueled this rash decision, but Miller seems to be enjoying himself, so there's that at least. Oh, well, that's fine, isn't it? As long as the man's happy, I guess. And then he just literally carries on, oblivious to the fact that she literally zones out. She dissociates. She is literally crying and feels awful, and he doesn't notice. He just keeps pumping away. Like, what the hell is wrong with him? That's not... Like, this isn't consensual. She's dissociated. She's not consenting. And he just carries on. I hate it. They finally stop having sex. And she tells me about the argument with her mum, and Miller is quiet for a moment, staring at me with a perplexed look, probably unsure how to comfort me when I'm this upset. He falls onto his back and stares up at the ceiling. That's why you called me over? His voice has a sharp edge to it, even though it's still a whisper. Because you're mad at your mother? His reaction is staggering. I reach out and put my hand on his chest, and he grabs my wrist and flicks it off him. He rolls over and sits on the edge of the bed, his back to me. No, Miller, no! I'm saying no, but that word is a lie, and we both know it. I place a hand on his shoulder, but he flinches when I touch him. He stands up, and I hear the snap of a condom as he pulls it off and tosses it angrily into the trash can next to my bed. So I understand why he's upset. I think she was in the wrong here. I think he was also in the wrong for just doing it anyway and not really understanding that she wasn't really consenting or into it or anything like that. I hate his, like, grabbing of her wrists and stuff. We've seen Colleen Hoover defend violent behaviour in men before, and while this act of him just grabbing her wrist and, tossing it isn't extreme violence like we normally see from Colleen Hoover protagonists, it gives me the vibes that he could go there. So I am going to cross off for my bingo game violence against women too, because again, this is my game. I can play it how I like. Back to Morgan's chapter, and she says that I'm completely mortified, ashamed. No matter how many texts he sends me, meaning Jonah, 7 since he left here last night, I'm not speaking to Jonah again. Not for a long time. I don't want him in my house. I don't like what his presence does to me. I don't like the person it turns me into. Kissing him last night was one of the biggest mistakes I've ever made, and I knew that before I even let his lips touch mine. Yet I still did it. I allowed it, and the worst part is I wanted it. I've wanted it for a long time, probably since the day I met him. Me. Why do none of Colleen Hoover's characters have an ounce of emotional maturity? Why are they all petulant teenagers? It makes me genuinely concerned for what she's like as a person if this is all she can write. Maybe that's why I feel like such a piece of crap right now, because I know if Jonah hadn't left all those years ago, we might have eventually ended up in the same position as Jenny and Chris, sneaking around, betraying our spouses, lying to our families. Why does Colleen Hoover love cheating so much? Why? Then Morgan goes to check on Clara and decides to break into her bedroom and literally finds her in bed with Miller. I mean, I think any parent would be angry about this, like finding a strange man in your child's bedroom. Yeah. Again, maybe this drama could have been avoided if they'd just spoken to each other, A kid generally doesn't need to sneak around and lie to their parents if their parents actually listen to them and communicate with them. Just saying. I mean, obviously there's some exceptions, but I'm just talking quite generally. It also turns out that today is Clara's birthday. She has just turned 17, but Morgan forgot because, you know, she has other things going on in her life right now, like her dead cheating husband and sister. So this causes way more drama. Time passes so weirdly in Colleen Hoover books that it has been months since Chris and Jenny died. Clara and Miller had been dating for weeks. I don't quite know how long, but, you know. But apparently still not enough time that Morgan has sat down and thought, maybe I should just stop yelling at my daughter and have a conversation with her. Clara has another tantrum and storms out of the house wearing yesterday's clothes for some reason. I don't know why. A big deal is made about it in the text, but it never has any consequences, so it's just there. Morgan has a small breakdown over some TV repairman on the phone and tells him, you know what, just cancel it. I don't even want cable. No one has cable anymore. In fact, you should probably start looking to other careers because apparently being a cable technician is no longer sustainable. I end the call and toss my phone on the bed and stare at him. Yeah, it's a tantrum, but also kind of relatable when you're in the middle of a breakdown over other stuff. So, I don't hate this bit. I'm kind of with Morgan on this. Skipping back to Clara's chapter. She gets to school, Miller is waiting for her in the car park, and he's never looked so good. Sure, he's tired, neither of us have brushed our teeth or our hair, and we're wearing the same clothes we wore yesterday, but he's holding coffee and looking at me like he doesn't hate me, and that's a beautiful thing. Wow. What romance. How sexy. Unbrushed teeth. Even though I've only been 17 for a few hours, I'm proud of my newfound maturity. Oh, shut up. When I walked into Jonah's classroom half an hour ago, I made it all the way to my seat without punching him. Even when he told me good morning, even when his voice cracked as he said it, I didn't even make eye contact with it. Oh, she's such a child. I hate this. He's been lecturing for about 20 minutes now, and I haven't done a single thing I've fantasized about during the 20 minutes I've been in his class. I've wanted to scream at him, call him an adulterer, tell the entire class about his affair with my mother, hack the intercom system, and tell the whole school. But I haven't done any of those things, and I'm proud of myself for it. I've remained extremely calm and composed, and as long as I keep my eyes off him, I think I might be able to make it through the entire class and escape without a confrontation. 17 looks good on me. I'm practically an adult now, thank God, because I can't rely on my mother to raise me anymore. Oh, I hate this. It's a bit of a stretch, but I'm also crossing off the, oh my gosh, she's so mature for her age one for this. Oh, and remember the Efren friend who was introduced earlier and never seen again? Well, we do get a brief mention of him here. And I'll tell you this, he has one more word to say in the entire book. So he is brought back for one word. But not now. Now we just get a mention. So Lexi, I think, is texting Clara at this point. It just says, Lexi. Kidding. I actually said yes. I'm shocked. He's so short. But he's kind of mean to me, so it makes up for all the many things he lacks. This is one of the most toxic things I've ever heard. This subplot did not need to be in here. It's just perpetuating every bad stereotype about everyone. It's awful. I hate it. Meanwhile, because she's texting in class, Jonah asks her to put her phone away, and Clara responds in a totally mature way because she's like basically an adult now. When he nods his head towards my phone with a pleading expression, silently asking me to put it away again, all I see is red. I grip my phone in my right hand and hurl it towards the trash can near the classroom door. My phone crashes against a wall and falls to the floor in pieces. I can't believe I just did that. And I can't believe I'm reading this. Twice. I still have to edit this video. So mature, so healthy, we love to see it. Clara tries to storm out the classroom, but in typical Coho fashion, Jonah blocks her from exiting and physically restrains her. Clara, stop. I'm not listening to him, or my mother. I'm done listening to the remaining adults in my life. I feel it might be counterproductive to my mental health. I feel Jonah's hand grip my upper arm. The fact he's trying to stop me and have a conversation with me infuriates me. I yank myself from his grip and spin around. I don't know what's about to come out my mouth, but I can feel the anger raging its way up my throat like a rapid. I'm crossing off blocking women in rooms for this one because he is blocking a woman in a room. Kind of. A young girl, but still, you get the point. Then, once he's done being violent and blocking her and grabbing her and pulling her around, he just decides to hug her, and he refuses to let her go, and I'm sure this is crossing some sort of teacher boundary, and he would probably be fired for this, but there we go. Sorry if you can hear Kara eating her snack in the background, she's enjoying it. She's got a little vegetable crocodile. She loves it, very chewy, very chompy. The next 3 class periods sail by without a single assault. Progress! I haven't seen Miller since the since first thing this morning, and it's kind of killing me. We usually text each other throughout the day, but my phone is probably at the bottom of Jonah's wastebasket. When I finally make it to the cafeteria for lunch, I can see the relief spread across Miller's face when I approach the table. He scoots over and puts space between him and Ephron. I'm crossing off codependency here for this just because I want to. In Morgan's chapter, Clara has a birthday dinner and for some reason invites Jonah, who has just given her a phone after she smashed hers, because I guess protagonists should never have to face any consequences for their own actions, right? Of course not. Miller arrives at dinner too. The actual dinner itself is skimmed over in like 2 pages and it's dull. There's some snarky back and forth without anyone actually saying anything, and then Clara has another tantrum and storms out with Miller. Kyra is thoroughly enjoying her snack. Then Morgan kicks Jonah out too because wow, fun, why not? Just creating more drama for the sake of it. I'm so happy I got to read all this absolute nothingness. In Clara's chapter again, Miller says something sensible for once, which is he presses his chin against the top of my head as he wraps his arms around me. Is this how it always is? He asks. Blatantly, yes. Miller's chest rises and falls, and just once, heavily. I don't know if I can do this. Yeah, no, and you shouldn't have to. Clearly, she's not in an emotionally good place to be starting a relationship. He's not prepared to deal with all her emotional trauma and baggage at this point. Like, he should get out of there. They're not good for each other. This is not going to end well. You're breaking up with me on my birthday? He drags a hand down his face. No, He can't even finish whatever he's about to say. Probably because he knows what a jerk he's being right now. No, he's doing you a favor, love. Take the breakup. I take another step back. You slept with me last night and now you're dumping me. Really? I spin around and head back to my house. Guess I was wrong about you too. Well, that's not really what happened. You kind of coerced him into having sex with you under false pretenses. And then you zoned out and he carried on without your consent. So it wasn't really consensual sex, was it, on either of your parts? You're both pretty messed up. I don't know. It's complicated. I can hear him sprinting after me. He intercepts me before I make it into the front patio. He grips my face with both hands, but it isn't a gentle grip. It's not a rough one either, but based on the anger in his expression, it's not a touch I really want right now. You don't get to throw that in my face, Clara. I was the one who was taken advantage of last night. At the start, yeah, but not at the end. Not you. With that, he drops his hand and walks back to his truck. When I hear him open his door, I flinch. Ugh, Colleen Hoover, why do you write this stuff? I'm sorry, I face him. I'm sorry. That was a really crappy thing to say, and even crappier thing to do. I walk back to his truck. But why are you doing this? This morning in my car, you acted like you forgave me for last night. I feel panicky. Miller's expression is torn as he taps his fist against the frame of his door, then he slams it shut and pushes me in for a frustrated hug. And blah, blah, blah. There's a bunch of back and forth. I'm fed up of this. Like, she's definitely being a manipulative, toxic mess here. I'm crossing off manipulation disguised as romance here. There's just all this back and forth of like, oh, is he dumping her? Is he not? Is he dumping it? Is he not? I'm fed up. I also want Clara to stop playing the victim here for a second. She's unbearable. He's unbearable. Everyone is unbearable. Everyone. And then just because we need more drama, I spin around and march back to his window. You know what? I don't need this. I don't want a boyfriend who makes me feel worse than when I'm already down. I don't want to date you anymore. I'm breaking up with you. And then Miller's like, somehow all calm and he's like, sometimes you have to walk away from the fight in order to win it. And then if possible, Miller somehow looks amused. I'm going home now. Good. He looks behind him and begins back out the driveway. I'm standing in the same spot, confused by our argument. I don't even know what just happened. Did we just break up? I can't even tell. Miller presses on the brake and leans out the window. No, we're just having an argument. Fine. Again, he looks amused as he backs onto the street. I want to wipe the smirk off his face, but he's already leaving. When he rounds the corner, I walk back inside the house. My mother is standing in the living room, staring down at her phone. It's on speaker. She's listening to voicemail. I walk in on the tail end of it. This book is just so stupid. It's just drama for the sake of drama. I just wish they'd break up. They need to break up. I don't remember what the mother's voicemail was about that she was listening to, but clearly it wasn't important, so there you go. Morgan starts looking back at old photos and then goes over to Jonah's house to flirt with him. It's boring. They kiss. She says she feels like a teenager. I don't like this, right? I'm not asking you to fall in love with me, Morgan. You already love me. I'm just asking you to give that a chance. I do not love you. I roll towards the other side of the bed, away from him. I need to leave. I start to stand, but he grips my arm and pulls me back to the bed onto my back. I press my hands against his chest to push him away, but he's on top of me now, staring down at me with a familiar look in his eyes. I'm instantly still. I'm weak beneath that stare. He's looking at me like he was in that picture, full of heartache. And this is rapey as hell. Can you not? Let's not hold women down on beds and push and pull them around. No, hate it. There's another awful sex scene here, and then it ends with Jonah, like, offering her a weird proposition. Again, it sounds a bit rapey. I don't like it. He basically says, if you keep sleeping with me, I won't make you tell Clara about Chris and Jenny having an affair. But if you don't keep sleeping with me, I'm gonna make you tell her. It's really unhealthy. I don't like any of it. In Clara's chapter, Lexi comes over and starts coming up with conspiracy theories, saying that Jonah and Morgan caused the crash to kill off Chris and Jenny so they could be together. Like, this book couldn't get more ridiculous. I hate it. Clara gets really drunk with Lexi. Morgan comes home, gets mad, takes all the stuff away like a phone or an iPad and whatever. Clara has another massive tantrum, throwing clothes and blankets everywhere like a child. Everyone just shouts in this book. Everyone's so mad. I hate this. Let's just check in with our bingo list quickly. We are approaching the last 15% of this book now. Thankfully, the last 4 pages of my video script, and I need to get through this because it's driving me crazy. So the last 15% of this book now, all we have left to cross off on our bingo list are drop plots, which is fine because we can't really say if we've had any of those until the end of the book, but there are kind of drop plots. Same with the character that's introduced and quickly forgotten. There's the saying the name of the book in the book, abusive parents, racism from Colleen, and stupid in-jokes you wish would disappear. I am actually going to cross off the in-jokes for the whole colour orange thing, the Jolly Ranchers thing. I think they're the big ones. Something else as well. Oh, the stupid moving the town sign thing. Yeah, they're the stupid in-jokes we want to disappear, so I'll cross them off as well. The rest, bear in mind, they're what we've got left. Kirby is still eating, bless her. She's thoroughly enjoying herself over there. She's the other side of the room, and the microphone is really, really picking her up. Okay, back to Morgan's chapter. I realised she drank an entire bottle of wine on her own. Two of them were completely empty, but sometimes drunken stuppers make people more honest than they would normally be, which means she truly believes I'm disrespecting her father. It kills me that she thinks I'm the one in the wrong. Well, you can both be in the wrong, you and Chris. And you are. You were having an emotional affair all those years. He was having a physical one all those years. I hope this passes. Her anger, her rebellion, her hatred towards me. I realise she'll never fully get over it, but I hope in the coming days she can somehow find it in herself to forgive me. I'm sure she will once we're able to sit down and have a conversation. But see, almost like talking would fix things, right? Why didn't you try it before? But she's still reeling from the realization that Jonah and I are intimately involved. To be honest, I'm still reeling from the realization. So all of this stems from Morgan not wanting Clara to know that her dad was a cheat, which is kind of honourable in theory. Like, you don't want to ruin the memories of the dad, you know, who is dead. But surely all that goes out the window when it's actively ruining her relationship with her one living parent. Morgan's like, I'd much rather she love and respect the lying, cheating dead man who can't help her in any way than have a healthy relationship with the one loving parent who's still alive. Like, by not telling her and choosing to, like, honor the dead liar's memory instead of, like, fix your relationship now, you're actively making a choice which will, in the long term, cause more trauma because she'll end up with no supportive parents, and the longer you lie to her, the more damage it's going to do to your relationship. It's not selfish to be honest with her and tell her what's been going on. It's actually helpful to her because she'll know that the parent she still has alive is someone she can actually trust and rely on, and she doesn't have to alienate herself from. This is madness. Colleen Hoover is just dragging this out to cause more drama because she thinks it makes for a good book, but it doesn't. It's stupid on the mother's part, but it's not parental abuse, so I'm not crossing that off the list. Jonah calls Morgan and they recall their favourite memories of each other. It's boring. Jonah's is when Chris was passed out and they used his unconscious body as a pizza table. Morgan's is when Jonah endangered people's lives and made a joke about it. I'll read it to you. That was a good night. I'm still smiling, trying to think of one of my favourite memories of Jonah. Oh my god, remember the night you got pulled over? Which time? I got pulled over a lot. I don't remember where we were going or if we were coming from somewhere, but it was late and the highway was empty. Your car was a piece of crap, so Chris wanted you to see how fast it could go. You got all the way up to 90 when you got pulled over, and when the cop came to your window, he said, "Do you even realise how fast you were going?" And you said, "Yes, sir, 90. And the cop said, "Is there a reason you were driving 25 miles over the speed limit?" You paused for a moment and then said, "I don't like for things to go to waste." And the officer looked at you and you waved towards your dash. I have this entire speedometer, and most of the time I don't even use half of it. Jonah laughs. Hard. I can't believe you remember that. How could I forget? You annoyed the cops so bad he pulled you out of your car and frisked you. I got community service over that ticket. Had to pick up highway trash every Saturday for 3 months. Yeah, but you looked cute in your yellow vest. I hate this. Both of their apparent favourite memories of each other are either disrespecting someone else or endangering lives. They're both terrible things. And also 3 months community service, like dangerous driving. Doesn't seem like enough. It always shocks me how Colleen can't just have people do like nice things, happy like you always have to be hurting someone else in a Colleen Hoover book. Like, I'm never gonna find dangerous driving and being so relaxed about it and making silly jokes about it. Like, I'm never gonna find that funny. Like, you're not just putting your own life at risk, but risking the lives of every innocent person on the roads who is following the rules. He says it was it an empty highway or a nearly empty? Okay, the highway was empty. Doesn't matter. You don't know what traffic's coming towards you or who's going to pull up behind you or who's going to be in front of you. Like, you don't know. Oh, hate it. The amount of times Colleen makes jokes about dangerous driving in all of her books, I will just say I would not feel safe getting into a car with her at all. Morgan finally admits she's in love with Jonah and he's like, finally, and then nothing happens. Clara starts puking from the bottle of wine she drank. In Clara's chapter, Miller is like, I never actually wanted to break up with you, I just said I did. And then it's this toxic, unhealthy mess of a relationship, and I wish they would break up. Miller says he loves her, and that they'll never, ever, ever really break up because they're just meant to be, and I do not care. Back to Morgan's chapter. Can you tell I'm fed up with this book yet? Now she's going for a job as a secretary at an estate agent's, so no idea what happened to that substitute teacher job that she went for that she was underqualified for. I guess that's just a dropped plot. There you go, let's cross that off the list. Clara admits to her mum that she thinks the car crash was her fault because she was texting Jenny at the time. Again, communication could have fixed this in the start of the book. 90% of the conflict on Clara's side came from believing this, but if Morgan had just said, hey, there was a crash, your dad was driving, then she would have known she was wrong and all of this could have been avoided. Morgan finally tells her 300 pages too late that her dad was the one driving, not Jenny, and Claire's all like, you're lying to me, tell me everything. And then she puts it together that Chris and Jenny were having an affair, and initially she's like, oh my god, you are all swingers. It's like, oh, okay, no. And then she cries and forgets that, and then Morgan is like, no, they were having an affair, we weren't, completely ignoring the fact that she was kind of emotionally cheating, but never mind. Clara storms out of the house being like, I need to find Miller. We don't really care. She tells Miller everything, and it's all like repeated boring nonsense that we just heard. And then she's like, boo-hoo, everyone cheats, everyone's a bad person. It's like, well, yeah, they are in Colleen Hoover books. And then she says, would you have cheated on Shelby with me? He looks thrown off by my question. No, why? That day in your truck, I thought maybe you wanted to. Miller sighs heavy with a look of guilt on his face. I was confused, Clara. I wanted to talk to you, but when you got in the truck with me, I didn't like how I was feeling. I wouldn't have cheated on her, but I can't say I didn't have the urge. Except you were cheating on her emotionally. Lying about who you're with, texting her behind her back, fake contacts in your phone. Like, that is emotional cheating. Colleen has such a warped idea of what cheating is. It's no wonder she tries to justify it in her books so often. Miller says he thinks Clara is a 9 out of 10, but he's deducting 1 point because she likes pineapple on her pizza, which is a stupid throwback joke to the second chapter, so I'm also angrily crossing off stupid in-jokes you wish would disappear again. I hate it. Morgan turns up at the cinema and goes into the theatre so that her and Clara, I forgot her name then, can have like a heart-to-heart, and they talk about regrets. Are we going to get the book title name? No, we're not, because it's not used in any significant conversation. They finally have an actual real conversation and everything is fixed. Told you so. Talking to people works. Morgan and Jonah spend some time together with the baby Elijah. I have no idea how much time has passed at this point in this book or when anything is really meant to be happening, but apparently the kid is now saying his first word, so clearly he's had a birthday at some point. He calls Jonah Dada. I find myself unable to care. They get all mushy, and Jonah pulls back, smiling down on me. I like it when you compliment my parenting. It's kinda hot. Same. Watching you be a good dad is the thing I find most attractive about you. We're so weird, he says. Yes, you are weird. I don't like it. but at least they're not talking about their son's testicles like in other Colleen Hoover books. And then, bam, finally, we get the title of the book. I pull my hand from his shirt and bring it up to his cheek. I married Chris because he was the father of my child, and I wanted to make it work. I did love him, I add, and I'll always love Jenny too. But you're the first and only person in this world I've ever loved without some reasoning or justification behind it. I just love you because I can't help it. It feels good to love you. Sorry, are you saying, like, you have to justify your love for your daughter? That's a bit weird. I just love you because I can't help it, and that's new. So you're saying you don't just love your daughter because you can't help it? Sorry. Anyway, don't like that. The idea of getting to raise Elijah with you makes me happy, and I know before we made love for the first time, I told you I'd regret it, but I've never been more wrong. I didn't regret it that night, and I don't regret it now. I'm confident that I'll never spend a single second of my life regretting you. Bam, title of the book. There we go. We could just end this video now. I genuinely thought Morgan was going to be the one saying that to her kid, and it would be like a sickly sweet mother-daughter bonding moment. Like, I never find myself regretting you. I didn't plan to have you, but being a mother was the best thing I ever had. I love you unconditionally. But instead, she says it to some mid-man. It's wasted on some personality-less man who's been out of your life for like 17 years. Anyway, now that she finally has a new man in her life, Morgan has apparently found her passion again. So she didn't need a job or a hobby or an education. She just needed a new man. Oh, what a letdown. Morgan then goes and rips up the secret letters between Jenny and Chris and feels truly happy, which is frustrating as hell for us as readers because it means we'll never find out anything about their affair. When did it start? Why did they do it? How long was it going on for? Was this the first time they'd been sneaking off to a hotel together? Was it the millionth time? Like, you know, the interesting stuff we might want to know, questions we have and never answered because... Look, the letters, that is another plot point that leads nowhere. That is dropped plot. I guess Colleen Hoover just couldn't be bothered to write other characters that aren't her main love interests. It's so damn frustrating. I hate it. I went back and looked up Goodreads reviews here, and this person says here something that I agree with. Maybe Morgan didn't need to know what was in the letters, but I did. What lazy writing to introduce a Chekhov's gun and then not actually shoot it. I agree. Good job, this person. In the last chapter, Clara and Miller have made their short film, and we have to sit through a description of the whole boring thing that goes absolutely nowhere. It's so pathetic. It's a mockumentary about fearing the colour orange. It adds nothing to the book, and in the real world, it would not be good enough for any kind of competition. It would not be winning any prizes. Sure, mockumentaries are great and can be very clever. I love the series American Vandal. That's a fantastic, 2 mockumentaries. Brilliant. Love that. But this is just about some silly inside joke between 2 teenagers. No one in the real world is going to care or find it interesting or think it's good. It's stupid, especially even the way it's described. Ridiculous. Ephraim turns up at this point though, and he gets a single... Oh, sorry, I said he said 1 word. I'm lying to you. I'm absolutely lying through my teeth. He actually says 2 words. I didn't even realize he was here in this scene, but suddenly Ephraim nods. I laughed. And that's what he says. He says, I laughed. You know what? This is honestly more than most Colleen Hoover side characters get, but he is still a bit of a forgotten character, so I'm crossing that off as well. Miller then reveals a secret film he's been working on. Ooh, and this is super creepy. He's been secretly filming Clara for the last 3 years since she was a 13-year-old child. Gonna keep saying that. 13-year-old child. And he's decided to edit this all together to show that he's a romantic, and he's because apparently, see, look how long I've been stalking you since you were a kid, is his way of saying please go to prom with me. And then she cries because she actually likes it for some reason, and then the book ends. Oh no, it doesn't. The book doesn't end. Oh god, the short film ends, the book doesn't end. And more book. I'm so sick of this book. At the very end of the book, the granddad is about to die, but not before he's actually surprise, we've been living like poor people all these years, but I secretly own a patch of air worth $250,000 in some nearby city. This is all yours, Mr. Irresponsible Teenager. And then the book ends, now that he's made them rich for no reason. I just do not care. I absolutely do not care. I hate this. I don't normally read book acknowledgements, but Colleen's book ended with these ones. All of my author friends, readers, bloggers, bookstagrammers, booktubers, industry professionals, and the like, thank you for being part of this wonderful book world. The creativity inside you all keeps me inspired. I could be classed as a booktuber, but I don't think I'm included in this because I don't think she'd thank the people like me who criticize her. And secondly, I hope to God I didn't inspire anything in this book because I would not want to be responsible for that. There you go. So by the end of the book, we only have 3 things on our Colleen Hoover tropes list that we haven't checked off, and they are abusive parents, racism from Colleen, I'm thankful for. We didn't have any more Javier Chorizo moments, thank God, and a character being introduced and quickly forgotten. Efren may have filled this slightly, or maybe even Jonah's mum, or apparently Jonah had a sister, I think. So I guess we could have crossed it off with that, but it's not as bad as some of her books, so I'm going to let her get away with it this time, just for once. And that's it. That's the end of this book, thankfully. Oh God, I'm so sick of it. Absolutely so sick of it. Thank you so much for watching today. I do appreciate you guys so much. Please remember to leave a like, comment, subscribe, all of that good stuff. If you like this video, please feel free to share it around online. You can go support my work and my channel over on Patreon, where you can also get access to some really cool like art videos of mine. There's some extra photos and stuff on there. You get exclusive stickers and prints sent out every 3 months at some of the higher tiers, and all that good stuff. I've also got channel memberships where you can also see some extra videos, and there's some cute like trivia stuff I've got going on over on the members community tab, and yeah, fun stuff. There's all kinds of stuff going on, which is nice and fun and stuff. So there you go. I'm so bad at this. If you want, you can go follow my second channel. I am trying to get that monetized over there so I can post more stuff on it. And I do like short happy book reviews over there, some gaming videos, some silly responding to Reddit post videos, a little bit of everything really. But yeah, if you'd like to see that, go subscribe over there. But for now, thank you for watching, check out my new merch, and I will see you again soon. Bye!